Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
If you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located on either end of the counter and give it to either the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual council members and staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words and actions, and comments shall be limited to the issue and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. All cell phones and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. And I'd like to call the meeting of the Parish Council Wednesday, March 27th to order. We will have the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilman Danny Babin. Please rise.
Thank you, John. Grant us grace, our Father, to do our work this day as workmen and women who need not be ashamed. Give us a spirit of diligence and honest inquiry in our quest for truth, the spirit of charity, and all our dealings with our fellows, and the spirit of gaiety, courage, and quiet mind in facing all our tasks and responsibilities. We ask this in your name, Jesus Christ. Our Father, oh, listen to me. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's Easter.
That was a senior moment, and it is Easter coming up as, yeah. And look, I'll do confessions after.
Yeah, well. Ms. Alicia, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hamner, Mr. Babin, Ms. Chauvin, Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Harding, Mr. Voisin, Mr. Amity,
Here.
Mr. Champagne. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, ma'am. Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on February 27th, 2024. We have a motion by Mr. Harding, seconded by Mr. Babin. Members, vote your machines. Mr. Babin, while we're waiting on the vote, you have something you want to say?
No, I hit the wrong button.
Again, another senior moment.
We have 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Approve the minutes of the special session held on March 7th, 2024. Moved by Mr. Harding. Second by Mr. Pleasure. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Distribute the minutes of the regular council session held on March 13th, 2024 has been done. Approve accounts payable bill list for 3/18/2024 and 3/25/2024. Move Mr. Pleasure. Second by Mr. Champagne. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Item 1, general business. Mr. Troy Parish with the Lieutenant Governor's Office of Seafood Promotional would like to give a brief presentation on the function of the board and the asset it brings to Louisiana. Mr. Troy, would you please come to the podium? State your name and address for the record, sir. And Keith, can you turn his mic on?
Troy Parish, Parria, 273 Joshua Reed Drive, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. How many of y'all like seafood? I see Mr. Danny Babin and seafood don't have his hand raised. How many of y'all like Louisiana seafood? As you can look at my figure, you can tell I like it too. I was asked to come fill in for Ms. Samantha Carroll, who's the director of the Louisiana Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board. I'm the current chairman of the Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board, which was formed in the 80s to promote the Louisiana seafood industry in all aspects, to promote the industry, try to preserve the culture and heritage, which is greatly touched right here in Terrebonne Parish. Although I don't rely on the seafood industry today as a means to provide for my family, I come from a long line of commercial fishermen. I did it myself, born into it in diapers. I got through school selling shrimp. And there's not a day that goes by in my life that I don't talk about seafood. Every day, talk about seafood. It's in the blood, and that has a true meaning. I was asked to come here to give a short presentation on what will happen if the mid-Barataria sediment diversion is built. And one reason why I asked y'all if y'all like seafood, Louisiana seafood, because if this thing's built, this seafood industry is no more. And we provided a short presentation that was sent here. If you want to start it up, I'd be happy to play it. If I could answer any questions about it, I'll do the best of my ability. If I can, I'd be happy to get those answers and get back with you. thank y'all for watching that video. You know, 100 years ago, the Mississippi River ran. There was no levees. Levees were put in place to stop that water from flowing over. At one time, that water flowed over all over and put sediment all over and built land. Now, in this day and age, you have plants like no other that's allowed by law to pump certain amounts of water, polluted water overboard, and emit certain things into the air. You have more agricultural runoff than you ever had way up north, and that all comes down that river. At the mouth of that river, we have one of the largest dead zones we have in the world. This diversion project wants to pump straight into Barataria Bay, one of the largest estuaries for seafood along its coast. It's the nursery ground for shrimp, oysters, crab, fish. This doesn't just affect commercial fishing industry. Recreational sports fishermen as well will have to go other places, if possible, to catch and do what they love to do. You know, 50 years, they're expecting this may build up to 21 square miles of land. 50 years. How many storms are going to come through in 50 years and spread what sediment might be in there? It's not going to be compacted like a dredge would do. It's going to probably take more than 50 years for that. And when those storms come through, it's not just going to spread the mud. How about all that polluted water that may go in our other areas and harm maybe even houses if we don't watch? So, council, again, I'd like to answer any questions you may have if I can. If I can, like I said, I'll try to get those answers for you. But like other parishes did, I would like y'all to consider a resolution or a letter of opposition to this mid-Barataria diversion project. Thank you.
Mr. Troy, Mr. Steve Trusclair.
Yeah, thank you, Troy, for that presentation. I have spoken to Billy Nungas, Lieutenant Governor Nungas, at length about this diversion project, and I'm totally on board with it. And you already answered my question because I was wondering what you was asking from the parish, and I definitely would support us doing a resolution as a parish to try to fight this diversion. I think they've already a good ways into this project already. So you know, if we don't do something now, it's probably gonna be too late.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Chauvin.
I would tell you that many of the festivals in Terrebonne Parish have enjoyed a program that the Seafood Board put on to where those festivals could apply for grants that would pay for seafood to come into our parish, where they would be delivered. Festival goers would enjoy that seafood. So this is some of the things that the Seafood Board has done in that. But one of the things that really just kind of always resonates with me is the 2019 Bonnie Carey spillway. And they do not tell you how much that they killed when it came to the dolphins and the fish and all the things that had happened. But I will tell you that there was a disaster declaration that came to the fisheries. Although, God forbid, we're still waiting on the monies to be put back into the fisheries. Those are real. That's from fresh water. So, and I've been saying this, whenever if they do that on the eastern side, there will be no more seafood industry there. The hub will be here, but once that water reaches here, the hub is gone, and it goes west. So there are a lot of big things that we need to look at in that. Also, I'm definitely up for doing this resolution in opposition of what the CPRA wants to do. Thank you.
And back to what you're saying about the 2019 spillway, if any of you guys remember, the Mississippi beaches and all were shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Those algae plumes grew and mass dolphin killings and such. A lot of displaced seafood. Folks had to go other places to try to provide for their families. It was a huge disaster.
I would tell you that when Lieutenant Nungesser mentioned the 11 p.m. waiver for the marine mammal and how it has never been done, that's so they will not have the repercussions of the damage that they do to our estuaries and everything that comes here.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Wazan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Parish.
Welcome.
Excellent. I'm just curious if you would know what is the driving factor for them doing this project? Like, what was in their minds?
I'm not sure what it is, but it's got a lot of dollar signs behind it. When it first evolved, it was around a $250 million project. Today, they estimated the cost about $3 billion would it be. And they're not even sure if that's gonna cover the whole project. So, I have a couple of statistics for some, dredge projects near that area. Um, Around Lake Bourne area, one dredge project averaged about $22,000 per acre of land. At the $3 billion cost, it's going to be about $230,000 per acre to build, hopefully within 50 years.
Wow. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Wazam. Mr. Babin?
Yeah, just one quick, decimating the seafood industry is completely out the question. I mean, we need to stop this project. One of the other unintended consequences of this, and I've talked to a lot of engineers over the years, and one I really respect a lot, Mr. Clifford Smith.
Yep.
The mouth of the Mississippi River will be shallowed up by a diversion, which has a direct effect on the economy of New Orleans, which in turn has a direct effect of the economy of the whole United States. So there are some unintended consequences besides the seafood industry. So again, so you just asked about numbers.
Right.
The first thing that's going to be affected is the seafood industry, and that's big numbers, okay? The second one is the economy of New Orleans, and more dollars will have to be put in dredging the mouth of the Mississippi. That's where all this comes about. It's the big dollars, okay? When you start putting unfortunately, maybe in your lifetime, maybe not mine, they're gonna start putting T's behind those things.
It's a good
okay?
possibility.
And that's scary, all right?
It
So
is.
again, I'm in complete support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. And I'm glad you brought up dredging because you can do that dredging project in what they said, 5 years versus we don't even really know what it's gonna take for that sediment to build because it took a long time to build South Louisiana through those, spring floods, but, I guess it sparked some interest. Ms. Chauvin?
I just had one question.
All right.
Do you have other parishes that have come together to write the resolution that maybe we can get a copy of and, just kind of look at how they're wording it or what have you? Or we can work with the seafood board on hand and we can come up with something, you and I.
I can get with Samantha and get that
And
to you.
Steve, if he, to do that, and Danny, to go ahead and pull that together so that we can get this going.
I don't mind doing that. I'll get with you this week on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Harding?
Yes, and I basically agree with my colleagues, but I want to bring one thing up in representation of the people. We talk about a lot of money, so if one thing is not going to work, we can do a lot with $3 billion.
Definitely.
So, the point here is that I know like I said, I'm supporting the coastline, not only just for the seafood area, but then just for the other things that we actually have that we need to actually come together and look at the fact that the cost of insurance and how we do all of those things. We're being affected by this, but then I think, again, my point to be the peacemaker is the fact that, somehow or another we need to get together because we're going to waste money on one thing. It's going to take 5 years to do another. We're going to take 50 years to actually see the results of something like that. I think we need to act, and we need to be in the room at the same time, not to have any arguments, but to have results. So I'm supporting my colleagues who have a particular expertise up here, but I still think that, somehow or another, that $3 billion may need to be addressed and see how we can actually balance this out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Mr. Troy, again, thank you for coming. Thank the Lieutenant Governor for all that he does on this. Thank Ms. Samantha, who couldn't be here with us. But, and again, I know that you'll stay in touch with these guys so we can put some wording together and present something to the council.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Council.
sir. Item B, a proclamation proclaiming April 6, 2024 as Twin Fest Louisiana Day in Terrebonne Parish. Mr. Brian Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we have any representatives from Twin Fest here? If we can have you guys come up to the podium.
You don't have to speak yet, but it's coming. Thank you, guys. This is, I'm privileged that I have the opportunity to be able to read this proclamation in regards to the events that's going to be happening here in the coming weeks. I think it's something great. It's something that's needed for Terrebonne Parish. Not only that, I think we'll really find out how many twins, triplets, and other folks that we have in families too as well. However, here we want to present to you guys with a proclamation, and it reads as such. City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne Proclamation. Whereas Twin Fest Louisiana, a festival unique in its nature and the first of its kind in Louisiana, is set to take place on April 6, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. in downtown Houma, celebrating twins, multiples, and their admirers, making a day of unity, diversity, and joyous festivities. And whereas this groundbreaking event not only serves as a platform for twins and multiples to connect and celebrate their unique bond, but also acts as a beacon of multicultural and family-focused festival culture, bridging diverse communities and socioeconomic groups within our beloved state. And whereas Twin Fest Louisiana is dedicated to showcasing the Bayou region as a year-round tourist attraction, thereby contributing to the revitalization of our local economy and providing a substantial boost to the small business still recuperating from the impacts of Hurricane Ida and the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas at the heart of Twin Fest Louisiana is a noble cause, with the festival acting as a significant supporter of Cherish X2, a nonprofit organization committed to assisting individuals in navigating life's transitions with grace and self-sufficiency, echoing the personal journey of its twin sister founders through the Louisiana foster care system. And whereas the festival is set to feature a rich tapestry of cultural expressions, including music genres such as gospel, Cajun, blues, and second line, with a brass band, alongside arts, crafts, a kids zone, yoga, games, and contests, all designed to celebrate the uniqueness of twins and multiples while offering educational opportunities from vendors embodying the festival's motto, be unique, connect, educate, and collaborate. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of Parish President and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that the day of April 6, 2024 be hereby proclaimed as Twin Fest Louisiana Day, and that all citizens be encouraged to participate in and embrace the festivities and recognize the significance of this day by promoting and supporting the aims of Twin Fest Louisiana, fostering an environment of inclusivity, education, and collaboration, and by celebrating the extraordinary connection between twins, multiples, and their communities. Presented this 27th day of March 2024, signed by our parish president, Mr. Jason Bazeron, and our council chair, Mr. John Amady, and endorsed by this entire council.
Robbie's got it. He's coming around. Yeah. Please state your name.
No button. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Good evening. I'm Christian Bazeron. While none of us three here are twins or multiples, we are thankful to accept the acknowledgement, the proclamation on Sherry and Sherry's behalf. They apologize for not being able to make it here. They were invited last minute to film a major television show to promote the festival, so they actually flew out to Los Angeles last night. I can't give any more details, but I think it'll be airing next week. So they're really trying to get this festival on the map and would like to see it really bring a lot of dollars into the parish. So thank you again, and thanks.
Hold on.
You got a couple people, you done, Mr. Pleasure? Mr. Charles Clare.
Yeah, I just want to make a statement. My son married a twin, and together they blessed me with grandsons. So I truly appreciate the fact of the camaraderie and just seeing how they interact with each other as compared to, they also have another brother, another sister, so it's 4. But these twins have a bond that most people don't even realize exists unless you actually live it every day. But just want you to know I got twins in my family. Thank you.
I hope to see him there. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Charles Clare. Mr. Pleasure.
And I also want to echo what my colleague, Mr. Trustclair, mentioned just now. Are you guys having maybe a contest? Because I have 4 sets of twins in my family.
Yes.
All right, we'll be out there, I guarantee you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasure. And again, Christian, thank you for coming and accept that. Don't go far. We got some more coming up for you and your wife especially.
Okay.
We'll see you again in a moment.
Thank y'all.
Item C is a proclamation proclaiming the month of April 2024 as Second Chance Awareness Month in Terrebonne Parish. Councilman Harding, if we can turn your mic on. There you go, sir.
Good evening again. The City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne Proclamation. Whereas the journey of reinstatement for individual exiting the criminal justice system is a fight with challenges, and Terrebonne Parish is committed to their successful rehabilitation and productive reentry into the society. And whereas initiatives such as the 3rd Annual Second Chance Site Right and Plan campaigns, which collects educational supplies and the housing lunch and learn worth the rate event, which offers critical housing resources are vital for providing stability and support. And whereas the Second Chance Employees Summit and the Career and Resource Fair in Houma and Thibodeau actively promote employment opportunities, while the expungement clinic offer legal assistance to those eligible, helping to remove barriers to reinstatement. And whereas these collective efforts embodied the Terrebonne Parish's dedication to reducing recidivism, enhancing public safety, and fostering a culture that values redemption, offering a comprehensive support system for individuals seeking a second chance. Now therefore be it resolved by Terrebonne Parish Council on the behalf of Terrebonne Parish President and the entire Parish Consolidated Government that the month of April 2024 be hereby proclaimed as Second Chance Awareness Month, and that all citizens, businesses, and community organizations be urged to support and participate in these initiatives, contributing to the more inclusive, supportive, and helpful society for all. Presented this day, the 27th day of March, the year 2024, signed by Parish President Jason Bergeron and Council Chairman John Amadi, and supported by the entire council. Anyone here to receive it?
Keith. You can pull it down.
Okay. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the Bayou Region Reentry Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It's always appreciative to know that people are willing to give a second chance, and I know I used my allotment and then some, I can say. So, I want to thank you guys for all the work that you're doing, Mr. Harding for reading this proclamation, and, if there's anything that we can do, ask that guy right there. No. We'd be always willing to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Name? State your name.
Paige Pellegrin.
Thank you, Ms. Pellegrin. Item D, a proclamation proclaiming the week of April 21st, 2024 as Victims' Rights Week in Terrebonne Parish. Mr. Champagne?
I have the privilege of reading this proclamation. City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne proclamation, whereas Americans are the victims of 20 million crimes each year, affecting individuals and communities, and whereas years of investment in crime victims' rights and services have developed a system of victim response that can help victims recover from crime, and whereas reaching and serving all victims of crime is essential to supporting thriving communities because those who receive holistic services and support are more likely to remain invested in their communities. And whereas dedicated victim service providers are working every day to meet the needs of crime victims, yet there are still too many victims without meaningful access to rights and services. Whereas many victims face barriers such as isolation, distrust of authorities, language limitations, lack of transportation, or cultural barriers that keep them from accessing the services and criminal justice systems that can help them recover from crime. And whereas we must make a dedicated effort to expand the circle of those prepared to respond to victims and link them to resources that can help them recover. And whereas engaging a broader array of healthcare providers, community leaders, faith organizations, educators, and businesses can provide new links between victims and services that improve their safety, healing, and access to justice. And whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week provides an opportunity to recommit to ensuring that all victims of crime, especially those who are challenging to reach or serve, are afforded their rights and receive a trauma-informed response. And whereas Terrebonne Parish is hereby dedicated strengthening victims and survivors in the aftermath of crime, building resilience in our communities and our victim responders, and working for justice for all victims and survivors. Now therefore be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of the parish president and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that the week of April 21st, 2024 be hereby proclaimed Crimes Victim Rights Week in Terrebonne Parish, and that sincere gratitude and appreciation be expressed for those community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving our response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. Presented this 27th day of March 2024, signed by Parish President Jason Badron, Councilman Chair John Amity, and supported by the rest of the Terrebonne Parish Council. We have someone here. Nobody? Give it to our clerk.
Item E, a proclamation proclaiming April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Terrebonne Parish. Mr. Steve Trosclair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Gives me great pleasure to read this proclamation. It goes, whereas Louisiana is home to over 1 million children living in families that deserve support from the diverse communities in which they live. And whereas the children of Louisiana deserve to live and grow in healthy, nurturing environments, free from threats of violence and harm. And whereas child abuse and neglect often occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and don't know how to cope. And whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that are preventable and engaged and supported in an engaged and supportive community. And whereas child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure each family has the support they deserve to raise their children in a healthy environment. And whereas all Louisiana residents, businesses, schools, faith-based, and community organizations have a role to play in supporting families and raising children in safe, nurturing environments. And whereas during the month of April, public and private sector agencies, child care professionals, child advocates, and residents will be promoting community involvement to reduce parental isolation and conducting awareness efforts that educate parents and help prevent abuse before it ever starts. Now therefore be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of the parish president and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that the month of April 2024 be proclaimed Child Abuse Prevention Month in Terrebonne Parish, and urge all residents to engage in activities whose purpose is to strengthen families and communities to provide the optimal environment for children to grow healthy and thrive. And this proclamation is presented on the 27th day of March, 2024, signed by Parish President Jason Bergeron, Council Chair John Amity, and endorsed by the entire council. Is there anyone here to receive this proclamation? Thank you all.
Mr. Lee.
Yeah, just as a kid from the foster care system, just to kind of give some insight behind this. There's over 4,000 to 6,000 kids in foster care in Louisiana, and only 1,700 certified foster families. So I really appreciate y'all doing this.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Item F, a proclamation proclaiming April 2024 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Terrebonne Parish. Ms. Chauvin.
Proclamation, whereas every 68 seconds an American is sexually assaulted and every 9 minutes that victim is a child. And whereas 9 out of every 10 victims of rape are female, and whereas 94% of women who are raped experience symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, during the 2 weeks following, and 30% of women report symptoms of PTSD 9 months after the rape. And whereas 33% of women who are raped contemplate suicide, and 13% of women who are raped attempt suicide. And whereas out of every 100 rapes, 40 are reported, 10 lead to an arrest, 8 are prosecuted, 4 lead to a conviction, 3 rapists will spend a day in prison, and 97 rapists will walk away free. And whereas in the year of 2022, The Haven answered 165 hotline sexual violence crisis calls and served 73 primary survivors of sexual violence with 184 individual therapy sessions, 73 group therapy sessions, and 69 survivors receiving medical advocacy. And whereas victims should have support to find the compassion, comfort, and healing they need, and sexual perpetrators should be punished to the full extent of the law, while important partnerships have been formed among criminal justice agencies, allied professionals, and victim services to assist victims of sexual violence and their families. And whereas it is important to recognize the compassion and dedication of the individuals who provide services to victims of sexual violence and work to increase public awareness of sexual violence and its prevalence, and to eliminate it through prevention and education. And whereas our parish has a moral obligation to work on the prevention of sexual assaults and the severe trauma it causes to those affected. And now therefore be it resolved that the Terrebonne Parish Council, on behalf of the parish president and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, hereby proclaims the month of April 2024 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Presented this 27th day of March 2024, signed by our parish president, Mr. Jason Bergeron, and our council chairman, Mr. John Amade, and endorsed by the entire Terrebonne Parish Council. Do we have anyone to speak on it?
Let us get your mic turned on and we'll be able to hear from you. There you go. Name and address, please, for the record.
Paige Pellegrin, 103 Menard Drive in Berg. On behalf of the Haven, I want to thank Parish President Bergeron and all the members of the council for recognizing April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Every 9 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. Sexual violence is shielded by secrets, thrives from misinformation, and flourishes with myths. April provides an opportunity not only locally but nationally to shine a light on the realities and impact of sexual violence on individuals and families. We invite all of you here tonight to help paint the town teal by wearing teal on Tuesdays. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Item G is a proclamation proclaiming the weekend of April 6, 2024 as American Cancer Society Relay for Life Weekend in Houma, Terrebonne. Mr. Clyde Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Amity. At the outset, I just want to say this is a real honor for me to be able to read this particular proclamation. It's personal to me, having two brothers who are cancer survivors and having lost a sister to cancer, not to mention my father-in-law, several of my aunts and uncles on my mother's side. So, and there's probably not a person in this room who doesn't know of a family member or a friend or relative that fell victim to this, whether they survived or did not. So with that said, proclamation, whereas the Relay for Life movement inspires the community to celebrate people who have been touched by cancer, remember loved ones lost, and take action for life-saving change. Relay for Life brings together 3.5 million participants across the world to lead the fight for a world without cancer. Whereas the 2023 American Cancer Society's Terrebonne Parish Relay for Life was ranked the number 9 fundraising campaign in the state of Louisiana and the number 18 Relay for Life event in the nation. Whereas the American Cancer Society is the leading cancer fighting organization with a vision to end cancer as we know it for everyone, we are the only organization improving the lives of people with cancer and their families through advocacy, research, and patient support to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to prevent, detect, treat, and survive cancer. Whereas an estimated 29,400 new cases of cancer will be diagnosed in Louisiana this year. Whereas funds raised from the Relay for Life events allow the American Cancer Society to attack cancer in dozens of ways, each of them critical in achieving a world without cancer, from developing breakthrough therapies and innovative research to building supportive communities that come together to help those affected by cancer with access to treatment. Whereas the American Cancer Society is currently investing $2,828,000 in Louisiana in research funding studies to find the cause of and better treatment of cancer, and to improve the lives of cancer patients at Louisiana State University, LSU Health Science Center, and Tulane University. Whereas the Relay for Life of Terrebonne Parish stands shoulder to shoulder with cancer patients and those supporting them to help beat our biggest rival and fight cancer on every front. Whereas Relay for Life of Terrebonne Parish will celebrate its annual event in our parish on Saturday, April 6, 2024, from 3 to 10 p.m. at the Barry B. P. Bonvillain Civic Center. Whereas the color purple is the signature color of the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life events, signifying the passion that cancer survivors and their families and loved ones feel for the eradication of this disease. And now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of Parish President Jason Bergeron and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that Saturday, April 6, 2024, be hereby proclaimed American Cancer Society Relay for Life Weekend in Houma, Terrebonne, and that the public be encouraged to show their support to those individuals living with cancer and honor those individuals that have lost their lives to the dreaded disease of cancer.
Mr. Schwest, please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Dean Schwest, I am the 2024 Chair for Relay for Life. But I hold a title only. These folks make the wheels roll. That's why I want them up here with us. I want to thank Jason for two things. One, his invite for me to be 24 chair. He was the 23 chair, and he was the one that reached out to me about taking this. And I was skeptical, but I'm glad I did it. Thanks also for the proclamation and the acknowledgement of the event. And I want to echo what Mr. Clyde has put out there, and that is I want to reach out to everybody here and the community to come out and enjoy. It's a festival-style event. It's high energy. It's lots of love. It's a celebration for survivors that we're going to have lots of music, food, which is what Terrebonne Parish is known for, and we're going to end it with a fireworks show. Okay. I also want to add one of the things we're bringing back to the event this year is a Pie Your Dignitary booth. And I see a lot of folks in here that could apply for that. I got to find 16 dignitaries in the next week. So y'all may be getting phone calls, okay? Thank y'all so much.
All right, Mr. Schwest, we have Mr. Trustclair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Dean, first thing, why don't you introduce your crew with you?
Yeah, so first of all, the driving force behind it, Ann Bates. She is a representative of Relay for Life and American Cancer Society for our community. She pushes this every year. She's full force. Anthony. Andrew. We have Susan Miller. She's on one of our teams that she pushes on sponsorships. Vanjie LeConte. She's heading up our cook-off event. We have a cook-off contest. We've got King and Queen of Relay. We might actually add a twin contest to see if we can get some of the twins coming. And actually, Cherry and Sherry's on the committee with us, so it's not like we compete with each other the same day. When their event's over with, they come and join us at ours. So we got Brandy and we got Heidi on this side. Okay, great team. There's a lot more of them, but this is all I can make it tonight. And they make this happen. They really do.
Thank you. And I just wanted to show what it takes to put this thing on. This is just a very small percentage of the people that actually take to put this thing on.
Absolutely.
I've been going to Relay for Life for many years. I actually sat in the Pie in the Face booth several years. And
That's one.
I graduated to the food judging cook-off.
Oh, you graduated, huh?
Yeah. And normally I take this time to pick on Heidi, but I'm gonna leave her alone tonight. But no, thank you guys. Y'all do a really great job, and we really appreciate everything y'all do. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trustclair. Mr. Babin.
Yeah, just quick, I love pie.
Yeah.
And I've been in that booth before, so mark me down again, okay?
I'm in it.
Lemon meringue is one of my favorites.
We're gonna accommodate. We're gonna accommodate. Good stuff. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for what y'all do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. And again, thank you all for what you're doing, and make them phone calls.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dean. Item H is a proclamation proclaiming the week of April 7th through the 13th, 2024 as Junior Auxiliary Week in Terrebonne Parish. Mr. Danny Babin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is my pleasure to read this proclamation for a long-standing and very active junior auxiliary here in Terrebonne Parish. City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne, a proclamation. Whereas the Junior Auxiliary of Houma, Louisiana, a chapter of the 81-year-old National Association of Junior Auxiliaries Incorporated, represents a serious endeavor on the part of women to be active and constructive participants in the community and to assume responsibility, leadership, and meeting community needs. And whereas the mission of the National Association of Junior Auxiliaries Incorporated excuse me, is to encourage member chapters to render charitable services which are beneficial to the general public, with particular emphasis on children, and to cooperate with other organizations performing similar services. And whereas the Junior Auxiliary of Houma has actively worked to perform the mission of the National Association of Junior Auxiliaries in this community since 1975 and should be recognized for its ongoing efforts. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Terrebonne Parish Council, on behalf of the parish president and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, that the week of April 7th through 13th, 2024, be hereby proclaimed Junior Auxiliary Week in Terrebonne Parish, as sponsored by the National Association of Junior Auxiliaries Incorporated, and that all citizens, civic, fraternal groups, news media, and other community organizations be urged to join in the salute to junior auxiliary volunteers who have been an important presence in this community since 1975. Presented on this 27th day of March 2024, signed by our parish president, Jason Bergeron, our council chairman, John Amade, and endorsed by this entire council. Do we have someone here from the junior auxiliary? I get to take a picture with some lovely ladies. Plenty of those. I can get away with it though.
Please state your name for us, please.
I'm Brandy Petrie. Just on behalf of JA of Houma, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all's support. Jason, he's our Santa Claus. We just appreciate the proclamation and the support, and we just want to be around for a long time and keep helping out everybody.
Hang on just a moment, Mr. Champagne.
Thank you for all you do. I see them, they support the children at McDonald's through doing birthdays when the kids have birthday days. So thanks for all you do. It means a lot to the kids. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we love it. You should have saw him at the swamp a couple weekends ago.
Again, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Item I is a proclamation proclaiming April 1st, 2024 as Eleanor Clare Memorial Foundation Day in Terrebonne Parish, and I truly have the honor to be able to read this proclamation. City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne Proclamation. Whereas Miss Eleanor Ella Claire Bergeron was born to Mr. Christian and Mrs. Taylor Bergeron on December 27, 2022, and whereas Miss Eleanor tragically passed away on April 1st, 2023, and whereas Miss Eleanor's family made the selfless and life-saving decision to donate her organs and tissues so that others may live, and whereas Miss Eleanor's family then created the Eleanor Clare Memorial Foundation as a tribute to her legacy and to the lives of those she saved, and whereas the Eleanor Clare Memorial Foundation's mission is to raise awareness of and to honor pediatric organ and tissue donors, and whereas the Eleanor Clare Memorial Foundation's goal is to honor a child who was a pediatric organ and tissue donor with a memorial in each of the 64 parishes in Louisiana, and whereas the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government has learned that April 1st, 2024 is the one-year anniversary of Miss Eleanor's passing and wishes to recognize her legacy as a pediatric donor and her foundation's efforts to acknowledge and celebrate her and similar donors across the state. Now therefore be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of the parish president and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that April 1st, 2024 be hereby proclaimed Eleanor Claire Memorial Foundation Day in Terrebonne Parish, presented this 27th day of March, 2024, signed by Parish President Jason Bergeron and myself, Council Chairman John Amade. Taylor, Christian, if you guys come back up again.
Yep. Once again, my name is Christian Bergeron. This is my wife, Taylor Bergeron, and beside us we have some of our other board members from the foundation, so Cohen, Corey, and Brandy. So I'll just take a second to kind of give you a little background about our foundation. On April 1st last year, my wife and I we had to tell our daughter goodbye as we rolled her into the operating room, knowing that we would never get to see our daughter again. It was the toughest decision we ever had to make. But we knew that that was not the end of her story, because we knew that her organs would be used to save many other lives around the country. And so going through that experience, we set out to honor other children who also made the same sacrifice, whose families may not have had the financial means or the networking opportunities to honor their own children whenever they did pass, but we knew that we had a network here in Terrebonne Parish that would help us do that. So we set out to build memorial sites in all 64 parishes around the state to celebrate those children who never got the opportunity to play or who sacrificed their opportunity to play. So far, we've got our first site built on the Bayou Gardens extension in Bayou Blue at the new Quality of Life Park. It's a very small memorial site, but to us, it means the world. And so we want to recreate that. We've currently have a site being built in Lafourche Parish in honor of a 17-year-old girl who passed away. And then we've got a site currently approved in negotiations in St. Mary Parish. And so from here, it's just expanding outwards. But none of this could have been done without the support of Terrebonne Parish. We were the first site, and so basically we're leading the way as a parish through everyone's support and getting the word out, recognizing organ donation, especially pediatric children, children who organ donors. So once again, thank you all for the opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you for the proclamation. Thank you for allowing us to have the first site in Terrebonne Parish, our hometown, Ella's hometown. It means a lot to us, so thank you all.
Hang on just a second. Mr. Pledger?
It's very moving. It really is. It's one of those things that us as adults, it's a little easier for us to accept the transitioning of a loved one, but for a little angel, it's bless you guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Parish President?
I just want to commend this group, along with the many others here today, giving up their time, which I feel is our most valuable resource. And as you can see, some of the groups came up for multiple pictures and multiple causes. And so, as a whole, to me, this is what community is. And whether you're raising awareness or holding an event, honoring someone through causes, and raising money, in a lot of cases to help people that have gone through similar situations. I just really want to commend, and we have a packed house tonight, and I think we need to get more proclamations as more people can come to our council meetings and see all the great work that everybody does in our parish. And so, again, I can't say enough about the time that's given by the groups that are here tonight and the groups that aren't here tonight of what the community does to make the parish go around every day and help make our parish a better place to live.
Thank you, Mr. Bergeron. Mr. Hamner?
Christian, I'm honored to know you and so proud of you, man. Very few people know this, but in 2014, I lost my wife following a long and lengthy illness. It was tough, and I can remember when the hospital nurse came to me and asked me if they could have her cornea. And it was very much to my surprise that she even had organs that they would want. And then several weeks later, a couple of months later, I got a letter from a little town on the other side of Mobile, Alabama. Her cornea had restored the sight of 2 people that were blind completely. And it gives me great pleasure and, great satisfaction to know that 2 people, not just one, but 2 people are seeing the world through her eyes. I know what a hard decision y'all had to make, not because it was a child, but, a wife that, so, that's all. I just want to share that with you, man.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner. Mr. Harding?
Yes, the parish president, I'm going to echo his sentiments. We had 8 proclamations given out today. You guys actually seem to be the coup de grace because the angel that actually still working upon this land right now is it's shining real bright. But these 8 organizations that we proclamations that we had, all of these services are appreciated, and of course, we rather lengthy tonight, and so just want to say I appreciate all of you guys because different areas and things like that. I guess with that being said, I make a motion to go into a public hearing. Public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Before we do, I want to thank you guys, and I want to encourage the public. Go out to the Coteau Bayou Blue Park out on Bayou Gardens. Find the flag that's flying that says "Donate Life," and you'll see that monument. It's a great thing. So thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Thank you.
So I have a motion. So I have a motion to go into 6:30 public hearings by Mr. Harding, seconded by Mr. Pleasure. Members, vote your machines. Hang on, there we go. All right, we have 9 yeas, 0 nays. We're going into 6:30 public hearing, but just before we do, I want to recognize a couple of people that are here with us. Former Councilman Mr. Wayne Thibodeau is here with us. Thank you, sir, for being in attendance. And Mr. Charles Rodriguez, Lafourche Council, right? He has stepped up in an appointment to Lafourche Council. Again, welcome you 2 gentlemen to the meetings tonight. Mr. Reggie Dupree. Mr. Reggie's been around so long and he's carried so many hats, you oftentimes forget that he comes from right here, went through the state as a representative and senator, right? And then now heads up our levy district. So if you ever want to know some history in Louisiana, sit with this guy. He's a wealth of knowledge, but you better be ready to enjoy a conversation because he's a great orator as well. So with that, we're going to go to and guys, I thank you for your patience. We normally do public hearings right at 6:30, but we wanted to make sure we got those proclamations done. And some of those people had other things going on tonight. We wanted to be able to get them to so they wouldn't be running late. Item A. And it's an ordinance to restructure Chapter 12 of the Terrebonne Parish Code by adopting Section 12-75 through Section 12-79 to construct borrow pits. And just for transparency to everybody, this item, we're gonna make a motion in a minute to pull it so that some items can be restructured. They're gonna make some significant changes in it, but we also continue this public hearing because we want to hear what the public has to say, and those things can be considered in it as well. So I just wanted you to know that we're gonna be doing that. So we have several speakers in our call for public, and we're going to start with none other than Mr. Reggie Dupree. There we go.
I'm on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, administration, Mr. President. I'm pleased that you waited to call this in because that was very moving, that last proclamation you did, because I had to make the same decision with my late wife in 1991. So, a lot of us are faced with that, and that is the right decision to make. Before going into this ordinance, I just want to thank administration and the council. I understand Monday, a recommendation was made for Terrebonne Parish government to participate jointly with Lafourche Parish and the other 3 levee districts in Lafourche and Terrebonne to rehabilitate 2 miles of critical levee protecting southeastern Terrebonne Parish. So I think that's going to go a long way, and it shows where we're doing all this together, all these projects. On this dirt pit ordinance, I just wanted to make a few comments. We at the Terrebonne Levee District agree that we do need a regulation, we do need an ordinance. So we had our attorney, Mr. Jacob DeGates, send Ms. Neal a copy of, what suggested changes. Now, one thing we did not change is the setbacks for property boundaries, or setbacks from highways, from subdivisions, and from public streets. That needs to be in, because some, in the past, there have been some people that have stretched it a little bit too far to the limit. However, we need to be careful and have a balance of what we're doing. Can you pass this out to them? And by the way, this is not going to affect me in my job because 109 days from now, the good Lord says the same. I will be retiring after 43 years of public service. But so anyway, this sheet right here summarizes what has been done in the last 15 years or so on flood control for Terrebonne Parish and protecting our citizens. You're going to see $1.2 billion of local and state investment. Of that $1.2 billion, $500 million comes from the taxpayers of this parish, $300 million directly from the levee district, and $200 million from the parish government on items like improving the parish drainage levees, redundant levees, the converting floodgates to locks, or maybe some of the larger pump stations that were built in Bayou Black. That, along with the 80 miles of levee that has been built, 14 navigable floodgates, 2 non-navigable locks built by the parish, thank you very much. The HNC floodgate, which I'm happy to announce Friday, I signed the construction contract, so we have a $315 million contract underway to build the largest public works contract in the history of this parish. To protect the people of this parish is an environmental project, and you're not seeing, all the negatives like you saw earlier. This is a very, very positive project, which will
Hang on a second. We have a motion to extend by Mr. Pledger, a second by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. Motion carries. Mr. Reggie?
Thank you. I used to have a cop that used to chase me off of the microphone. Now y'all got,
We got technology
a
now.
computer. So, but basically, this is a summary of everything done, and I'm gonna make an offer to come back at a committee meeting and give a full Morganza presentation. I do have Mr. Mitch Mormon, our chief engineer and program manager, Miss Angela Hidalgo. She is going to be taking my place as the executive director of the levee district, and Lieutenant Fitch, Dakota Fitch with the sheriff's office. He's assigned to us when we need him. A lot of these problems that were put in this ordinance are no longer problems because the sheriff has assigned Lieutenant Fitch to us. I was with him Friday, and in 2 hours' time, he ran off 3 dump truck drivers, ran them off the job. Zero tolerance. People speeding, people doing what they're not supposed to be doing after you're warned. So we don't put up with it. And we having less and less complaints because of that enforcement. That we strict tolerance that we've done. We have adopted. So we can't have. We really think one of the worst things that's as the ordinance has written, it creates a strict liability against landowners and against contractors and our contractors. That's contrary to the Louisiana Civil Code and statutes, because in the last 30 years, the legislature has pretty much gotten rid of strict liability except for dog bites and drunk drivers hurting somebody. Other than that, name me one strict liability we have in this state. You just don't have it. Then the other thing is, as written, it is 4 times stricter than the state and federal wetland laws for 404 and coastal use permits. It calls for a 200-foot setback from wetlands. I think the most I've ever seen is 50 feet. So having it stricted in federal law and state statute on this is really not good. And you take a 200-foot buffer from every wetland in this parish, and you're knocking out a lot of potential sources. Let me just end by this by saying, before COVID, before Ida, we were building levees in this parish for about $13 to $14 a cubic yard, turnkey. In New Orleans, after Katrina, the Corps of Engineers was paying $40 a cubic yard. Why the big difference? Because our neighbors to the east had very, very strict regulations on borrow sources. Recently, we still building levees for about $19 to $20 after the hyperinflation, after Ida, after COVID, $19 to $20 a cubic yard. The state of Louisiana and St. Charles Parish just awarded a contract for the Sunrise Levee between Bayou Gauche and around the Bayou Gauche area and des Allemands. $71 a cubic yard. Why? Because St. Charles Parish has such a strict ordinance that you can't even get any dirt from that parish. They're bringing it in from 2 parishes away. So we don't want to overprice ourselves. This $1.7 billion I listed, we still have another $1.7 billion to go before we have 100-year level of protection, and we can substantially lower flood insurance rates in this parish and have true hurricane protection, what the people of this parish deserve. So I just ask y'all to consider those topics, when we come back, and also remember the Corps of Engineers is coming with that first levee project, first true federal levee project, going to bid in May and awarding it in July. If an ordinance is passed right before that, you're sending a horrible message to the Corps of Engineers and to the federal government and say, whoa, we don't want you here in Terrebonne. So we just need to be cognizant of that information. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dupre. Next, I have Ms. April Traha. Ms. April, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, April Trahan. I'm with the Duval Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of a landowner, Harry Berg Corporation. Harry Berg is a landowner located in Lower Dularge and Dulac. Mr. Reggie Dupre spoke on behalf of my client as well. A lot of what Reggie said is what I'm here to say. I'd almost withdraw my public comment, but I'll just go into a little bit of what I was going to discuss. The adoption of the ordinances under the Home Rule Charter or for ordinances that are requisite or necessary to promote and protect and preserve the general welfare, safety, health, peace, good order of the parish. My clients are not supportive of all of the provisions in the ordinance. We do believe and we ask that the councilmen and women contact the people who are involved in this sector, like Mr. Reggie Dupre, and contractors and environmentalists and landowners who are involved in building these levees, and to consult with them and do your due diligence about what provisions may be too cumbersome and what may be needed to be revisited. That is all.
Thank you, Ms. Trahan.
Thank you.
The next speaker card I have is Jesse Billiot. Mr. Billiot, when you get to the podium, please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Jesse Billiot. I live at 610 Beatrice Street here in Houma. I am a council member with the Pointe-au-Chien Indian tribe, and so I'm here to talk about the boroughs. Now, before I get into that, I'd like to say that, you know, our tribe has been monumental in helping out our community. What we do is not for just us, it's for the community. We feed the community. We started the first in the country indigenous French program. Y'all all welcome to come and see it for yourselves. Y'all should all come and see what we do for the land. So that's what I'm speaking on today. So in my opinion, the ordinance don't go strict enough. You drive around, you see all these giant stagnant ponds. So that fills with bacteria, funguses, mosquitoes. Anybody drives down the bayou right now, go walk in any little patch of grass, you will be full of mosquitoes, you will get bit, I promise you, even in the wintertime. These pits can also cause runoff erosion that can affect their neighbors' lands and their properties, bring down the property taxes. And you're also kicking, future home prospects out of the neighborhoods. Okay, Pointe-au-Chien, we have a guy right now who's about to dig up his land where somebody could move in and keep the neighborhood going. We're destroying our bayou communities by doing this. And so it's really funny how, we want to speak about, how much, like, we don't want to let the Mississippi drain into the Barrett but we don't really care about selling our land for measly dollars on the, we don't care. If we want to restore and fix our lands, we have to have the mindset. Okay, yeah, it might be a little bit more expensive in the long run, but you still have your land, you still have your property, you still have your neighborhoods, and I think we really need to think about that and how it affects other people and the hazards that it may cause. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Billiot. At this time, I'll give an open first call for the public. Second call for public. Third and final call for public. Have a motion to close public hearings by Mr. Harding. Second by Ms. Chauvin. Members, please vote your machines. 8 yeas, motion carries.
Motion to pull this item from the agenda as per administration.
So I have a motion by Mr. Babin to pull this item as per from administration, seconded by Mr. Pledger. Members, please vote your machines. Mr. Harding, you wanted to speak on something? It's 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Yeah, and here we are again. I made a statement previously. And I recall, I'm not so much down the coast, but I have a passion for Terrebonne Parish, the industry. My ex-father-in-law was a oyster fisherman. I look at going down fishing, we have problems. The gentleman that just left here, we understand that a lot of times when the oil field companies came and they were actually paying for these oil leases, they went in and out in our canals and with our marshes, and we're dealing with that problem now. So I don't want, I'm glad it's pulled, and we're gonna revisit this. I need, in essence, as I look in the audience, I need this side and that side to get together to find out what's best for the people. And that's what it amounts to. Because I don't want Terrebonne Parish to wait 50, 60, 70 years to figure out we done the wrong thing. So I think we got more dialogue. It was a good move to actually have this in discussion later on so we can actually solve the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. So the vote was 9 yeas, 0 nays. the motion passes to pull this. Item B is an ordinance declaring 4 vehicles from Houma Police Department as surplus and authorizing said item to be disposed of by any legal approved methods. First call for public. Second call for public. Third and final call for public. Motion to close by Mr. Babin, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Harding. Second, Mr. Pledger. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Item C is an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Solid Waste Department, $450,000. Hollywood Road Roundabout, $1,825,000. American Rescue Plan, $920,000. Houma Police Department, Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, $17,578. First call for public. Second call for public. Third and final call for public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. Public hearing is closed. Motion to adopt, Ms. Chauvin. Second, Mr. Babin, Mr. Harding.
Ms. Candace, those mule trucks and the cab trucks, they didn't say whether they were new. I think, what was it, $300-some thousand in reference to that? They're new or used? Lease? They're new? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. I'm sorry, Ms. Candace. We, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item D, an ordinance to authorize the acquisition of property, sites, and/or servitudes required for the Country Estates Bridge Replacement Project, LADOTD project number H.013199. Authorize parish president to execute any and all documents necessary to acquire sites, property, and/or servitudes for the said properties. To authorize the parish legal staff to commence expropriation proceedings in the event the sites, properties, and/or servitudes cannot be obtained conventionally. Declare that the taking, if required, is necessary and useful for the benefit of the public and to provide for other matters relative thereto. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Hearing's closed. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you, folks. Item E, an ordinance to authorize the relocation of a Terrebonne Parish precinct polling location for the election of July 17th through 19th, 2024, and all subsequent elections. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. We have a motion to close, Mr. Harding. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Harding. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. We got one more.
Thank you.
9 yeas, 0 nays. Item F, an ordinance to authorize the parish president or administration to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the state of Louisiana Office of Lands and execute necessary documents for the use of certain water bottoms. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machine. 9 yeas, 0 nays. I have a motion to go back into regular order by Mr. Harding, second by Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Item J is a resolution approving the holding of an election in the Coteau Fire Protection District of the Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, to authorize the renewal of a special tax therein. This item is being moved to the April 10th meeting. Therefore, no action needs to be taken. Item K, amend the condemnation order adopted February 6, 2024 on the residential structure located at 121 Codgier Street, Houma, Louisiana, owned by Craig Vauclair, by changing the deadline to complete demolition and/or removal from March 11th, 2024 to April 23rd, 2024. Moved by Mr. Trustclair, second by Mr. Pledger. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Item 2, public wishing to address the council. Item A is Mr. Mark Jeff, a Houma resident, wishes to address the council regarding debris and junk in the Bobtown area. Mr. Jeff was not able to be here tonight, but he asked that Mr. Pulaski share a discussion that they had regarding this matter. Mr. Pulaski?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did speak with Mr. Jeff on Thursday of last week regarding the Bobtown area, and it's Bobtown Circle specifically that we've been having some issues with junk and trash in public view and with items placed in the public right-of-way. As far as the public right-of-way goes, that's something that we continue to work with Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office to remove. But with respect to the junk and trash in public view, this has been an ongoing issue, but one thing that's a little bit different this time is now it's also coupled with some derelict structures that will be coming before you, I believe, in July. If those structures are condemned, and if the property owners don't clean up those areas, the buildings, then, and the parish ends up demolishing it, we would also be clearing the properties. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pulaski.
Sure.
Mr. Babin?
Just to let everybody know, conservatively, there's 100 cars there, okay? And we've been working on this a long time, and now we at least seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and I can assure you, we need to condemn this in July. So, thank you very much, Mr. Pulaski.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Item B, as per speaker cards in accordance with Section 2-07E of the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter, the public will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter related to parish government without discussion or questions and answers on non-agenda items. I have no speaker cards. Item 3, committee reports. Public Services Committee, Mr. Danny Babin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Public Service Committee meeting held on March 25th, 2024, and I have no public hearings.
We have a motion by Mr. Babin, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines.
Mr. Harding?
Thank you.
9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carried. So that's what we're going to call it now. All right. Item B, Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Pledger.
I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on February 26, 2024, and I have one public hearing. Consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. East Side Police Station, $277,379, and calling a public hearing on said matter on April 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
We have a motion by Mr. Pledger, second by Ms. Chauvin. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Item C, Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee, Mr. Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee held March 25th, 2024. I have no public hearings.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hamner, second by Mr. Champagne. Members vote your machine. 9 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item 4, streetlights. We have, as per motion by Mr. Harding, seconded by Mr. Pledger. Chief, were you here? You wanted to make comment on something with streetlights, or you're good? All right. I heard a little birdie, but, members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. It's always important to our law enforcement that they can see those people they're chasing after. Item 5, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. Item A, Recreation District Number 6 Board, one vacancy due to resignation. Ms. Sonia Nakian submits application and resume for consideration. I have a motion by Mr. Trosclair to open, close, and appoint Ms. Nakian, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. Congratulations to Ms. Nakian. Item B, Recreation District Number 8 Board, one expired term. Ms. Sue Adams expresses her interest in being reappointed.
Make a motion to open, close, and appoint Ms. Sue Adams.
I have a motion by Mr. Harding to open, close, and appoint Ms. Sue Adams. Anybody second it?
Second.
Mr. Pledger seconds. Members, vote your machines. Eight yeas, 1 abstention. That's all right. It still passed.
Danny must be catching.
Another Danny moment. Item C, Recreation District Number 10 Board, one vacancy. Mr. Bernard Stove Sr. submits application and resume for consideration. Mr. Harold Turner submits application for consideration.
Open, close, and vote.
We have a motion by Mr. Babin to open, close, and vote, seconded by Mr. Pledger. Ms. Alicia, can you give us a vote?
Okay, Mr. Hamner?
I have a quick question.
Turn on your light.
I have a quick question. One application had a question that was not answered, and I just got the other one since Monday. Is there any way to hold this over?
Ms.
I'm just asking.
I mean,
Make a substitute motion.
Yeah, I'm asking for some, I'll make a substitute motion to hold this over.
okay, Mr. Hamner makes a substitute motion to hold this over. Do we have a second?
Guess not, okay.
Motion fails based on no second. Thank you, Mr. Hamner. So we go back to our original, Ms. Alicia?
Mr. Hamner?
Harold Turner.
Mr. Babin? Ms. Chauvin? Mr. Trusclair? Mr. Pledger? Mr. Harding? Mr. Voisin? Mr. Amity?
Stove?
Mr. Champagne? 4 for Mr. Stove and 5 for Mr. Turner.
Congratulations to Mr. Turner. Mr. Babin?
Yes, congratulations to Mr. Turner, but I do want to say that I want to thank Mr. Arthur Bishop, who served on this board for 44 years. And he's done an outstanding job on there, and he has some health issues, so we wish him well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Item D, Fire Protection District Number 8 Board, one expired term. Mr. Johnny Marks expresses his interest in being reappointed.
Open, close, and appoint Mr. Marks.
We have a motion by Mr. Harding to open, close, and appoint Mr. Marks, seconded by Mr. Pledger. Members, vote your machines. Eight yeas, 1 abstention. Item E, Children and Youth Services Board, 12 expired terms, each one representing one of the following: Social Services, Education, Terrebonne Parish District Attorney, Department of Children and Family Services, Bayou Area Children Foundation, City Court, Terrebonne Parish Recreation Department, Gulf Coast Teaching and Family Services, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Houma Police Department, Terrebonne Parish School Board, and the Office of the District Public Defender, 32nd Judicial District. Mr. Matthew Ford, representing Education, submits application and resume for consideration.
Make a motion to hold over Children and Youth Services appointment until clarity can be provided by our legal counsel.
So I have a motion by Mr. Pledger to hold this over for 2 weeks until the legal can provide some clarity on the appointment process, seconded by Mr. Hamner. Is that correct? Or Ms. Chauvin? Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. We're holding this over. Item 6, council members request discussion of A, Councilwoman Kimberly Chauvin, discussion with Energy Regional Manager Mrs. Paula Rome regarding lighting in Terrebonne Parish. Ms. Chauvin.
Okay, Miss Paula couldn't make it. She had a migraine, but we do have Miss Anna Gale Ariana, and I'm hoping I'm saying this correctly, who's the customer service manager over the South and Southeast and West Louisiana of Entergy. So I just wanted to hold over and let her go ahead and speak.
All right. We can get the podium turned on, Keith.
Appreciate it. Oh, there you go. Thank you. I have some hard copies of my presentation in case that helps.
Pass them over to the corner. They'll get handed out.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to meet all of you in person. I think I've met a couple of you, and Parish President, great to see you again. Thank you for having us here this evening. With me is Chad Oakland. He is the statewide lighting supervisor. So, I'm bringing him in so he can hear firsthand if there's any other concerns. So, I'm here because we heard you, right? We heard your feedback, we heard your concerns, and we want to make sure that we're working with each and every one of you and ensuring that we have our street lights working. So I wanted to give you an update. I know there were a lot of questions, so I think I'm going to address most of them today. If there's anything left that we need to address, we'll be more than happy to come back. Paula, unfortunately, as stated, she's unable to be here, but definitely you know how to reach her, and if you need anything from me, I'll ask her to share my contact information with each one of you as well. So feel free to reach out. Okay, so with that, I'm going to, we'll cover 3 items, really, 3 big buckets. And one is, what are the recent status, I guess, of street lights in Terrebonne Parish? So we'll talk about that. And this is Entergy owned. Thank you. Oh, and you know what? It's not a PowerPoint, but a PDF. So I don't know. It should still work. Okay. Let's see. Let's try this. Oh, it does work. Cool. Okay. Entergy owned and operated street lights, right? We want to give you a status of where things are today. And, there were a lot of questions about post-IDA credits and, maybe some of the rates. So we'll give you some high-level information today as well. And I'll give you some information on the credits, post-IDA credits, that we looked up just to kind of give you, and we did it by lighting district, so that should give you a better sense of where those were applied. As well as, I know that Paula had mentioned that there was a question about how to report a street light. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on that there tonight, but you'll have that. And again, we'll be more than happy to work with each one of you individually to help our customers and yourself or the administration if they need to report a street light and how to go about doing that. So with that, we'll go to the next. Okay. So there was a question about, well, how many streetlights do we have in Terrebonne Parish that Entergy owns and/or operates? So if you look at your packet, we divided by lighting districts. So you'll have the different lighting districts. So it doesn't necessarily it aligns with that. And then I put the account number next to it as well. So that way you'll have exactly which account for the number of lights. So each one basically is a total of 8,014 lights in Terrebonne Parish that Entergy either serves or operates, owns or operates. I know there were a lot of concerns last time, a couple of weeks ago, in regards to streetlights. And thank you, Councilwoman Chauvin. I mean, definitely, we saw an influx of reporting from you, and we're very happy to say that, we've worked, if not all, probably most of your work tickets thus far. But I wanted to kind of give you a breakdown for this entire parish. So, and this is year to date. So from January to March, right now, we have about 1,013 work orders that have been reported to us in regards to streetlights not operating. Out of those, 996 have been worked. And you'll wonder the difference in numbers. Out of the 1,013, just to be clear, there were some duplicates in there. So, even though it sounds like, there's a bigger backlog than what I'm showing here, there is not. It's just that there were some duplicates because sometimes you'll have multiple folks report the same street light out for whatever reason. So 996 of those streetlights have been fixed in Terrebonne Parish. So right now we're and Chad is here to make sure that I'm saying everything correctly, but 15 in our backlog currently, and we're working that backlog as well. We have a target completion date of what we have currently in the backlog to be completed by the 28th of this month. And, just to kind of give you an idea, when a light is reported, which I know is not always ideal, right? But today, when a street light is reported out, right now our turnaround time is about a little bit over 2 days. Okay, so if you're not seeing that light repaired for whatever reason, there's something did not go quite right. Either the location wasn't specified correctly, or we didn't identify the correct light. It could be a many reasons why maybe that street light's not working. So what I've been working with my folks on my team is that to make sure, if Paul is aware of any street lights that have been reported and that still you're identifying that the street light is still out, that you guys are more than welcome to reach out to her. We'll be able to give you a status of where things are. We work directly with Chad and his team to kind of get a quick turnaround on any of those street lights that might have not been addressed right in the timely fashion. So in regards to, I know there was a question about patrols. So we wanted to just say, we definitely agree with you about the safety concern, right, when the streetlights are out, that, we wanted to make sure that we were addressing those concerns quickly. So we have made some changes on our end where we have shifted our schedule for our crews so they can start a little bit earlier, and that way they're still coming in while it's still dark. So they have a couple of hours, I guess, before that, before daylight breaks, so that they can go out and identify lights. And that has already started, by the way, in Terrebonne Parish. I think the main focus right now is really on those main highways, major boulevards, just to make sure that there's no, traffic issues or concerns associated with that. So thus far, we have patrolled about 824 of the streetlights in Terrebonne. 134 streetlights were identified that they were not working during this time, and 132 of those have been already addressed and are working today. So that's something that we have done. Again, we heard your concerns. We want to make sure that you are aware that Entergy's doing something about it. All right. In regards to billing, I'll have to say, and I'm going to be completely frank, I did put this information in here. Would love to be able to kind of sit with each one of you, the breakdown for your particular district, but this is just to kind of give you some rate information, comparing HPS lights versus LED lights. And there's also a difference between Entergy-owned lights versus customer-owned lights that we maintain for you. So that's why you see the two different sets of cost, depending if it's an Entergy-owned light or a Terrebonne Parish-owned light. Now, I know there were a lot of questions about post-Ida lighting credits. And I wanted to, so what I asked my team is, since I wasn't in this role at that time, I wanted to make sure that we did a thorough review of everything about the credits and how that was done and how that was applied. So what you have in front of you today is a breakdown by lighting district of each credit that was associated for each one of those lighting districts. And this is between, and let me just make sure that I'm reading my notes right. This is between December of 2021 and the final credit was posted May 2022. So you'll see that for each account number, and you'll see the lighting district described, you'll see the different credits that were applied as the months progressed. So, excuse me. So for, during Hurricane Ida, I'm sure, I don't have to explain this to this group, but, with the amount of devastation that occurred, Entergy took a proactive approach in saying, okay, we know that the majority of the poles and streetlights are down. So once we started doing the patrols post Ida to determine what the damage was, and we assessed the damages, then that's how we calculated how many street lights were actually either non-existent or they were not working, right? They were not operable. So that's how those particular credits were calculated for each lighting district. Now you'll notice there's two cells that are in blue. Like I said, because I wasn't in this role, I wanted to make sure that I understood exactly how how the credits were applied to each lighting district, and I wanted to make sure that we did a thorough review of that. In our review of that, we noticed that there were two different accounts that did not receive a credit during the month of January of 2022. In our process of our review, we identified that, and I'll have to explain this. So for any time that you do a one-time credit, it's a manual process, right? So we have to stop the bill or recreate the bill to be able to apply that credit and then recreate the bill to show that, okay, a credit has been applied. Again, this was a unique situation. So we had to stop our billing process in order to be able to apply each credit for each month. And that credit was determined as our assessments were happening. So we assessed, we determined how many streetlights were out, we applied the credit, we were doing repairs. So you'll see for most cases, right, if you look at the rows across per account, those credits start going down, which means that the streetlights were being repaired. They were coming back online. So the two that are in blue for Lighting District 1 for Schriever and Lighting District 2 for Schriever, those two credits were missed in that manual process. And I wanted to make sure that I brought that to your attention. That has been corrected, and as of yesterday, that has been applied to those two accounts. So I have that bill, it's being recreated now with the credit being applied, but I wanted to make sure that's why I noted it in blue, so you were aware that those two, in that manual process, unfortunately, they weren't applied correctly. So I will have a new bill to you, so Paula will be sending that to, we've been communicating directly with the parish president, but, we'll be sending that bill recreated, rebill is what we call it internally, but that new bill with the credit applied, we'll be sending that and providing you a copy of that. And I think after that, it's really how to report a street light, but I don't know if there are any other questions for me.
So I can tell you that I've been asking my constituents, so that I don't have to drive around anymore. I still do, but to drop the pin to me on Google Maps, and I get that to Paula, and so that's been helping a lot.
Yes.
Thank you for lighting up South Van Avenue. Thank you, because I know that the lady that's been calling that, she's been extremely worried about her mother, who's like in her 90s, at that point. And also, I know that it helps to put the red tape on some of the poles, but I will tell you, some of them that I've been doing, it's really hard to get to them, and I'm not a fan of snakes, so I haven't been doing that part.
Yeah.
On the report of the street light, I've sent to Paula the things that I find would be extremely more helpful to the lineman and to myself, because a lot of times Mr. Darrell was calling me and he would ask, were you talking about this pole? So it wasn't quite matching up in that direction. But if we can get those kinds of things, that would be awesome, instead of just a file number. But I did send it to Paula, but you guys have done a fantastic job in my lighting district. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Charles Clare?
I thought I took my light off. Oh, she answered my question already.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Wazan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank y'all for coming, and I wish Paula wasn't under the weather. She's been super helpful, in this area. Just a question. If it's a, pole that's missing from the hurricane,
Mm.
and it's been reported as, gone
Mhm.
with the app,
Yes.
how's that work?
So for missing polls, I would say I would rather use if that has already been submitted through the app and it hasn't been worked. I would like to get that GPS or get that address or anything you have to be able to go look back because what happens if it's not on the map itself, then sometimes it's difficult to be able to report it through the mobile app. But if you have an address, cross streets, or anything else, if you send that to Paula, she'll get it to the right folks, and we'll definitely take a look at that.
And if it's a decorative pole,
Mhm.
I can report it to y'all, and y'all will work with the parish to get that decorative pole
Is
replaced,
that
because that's a parish pole, from my understanding. If it's
yes?
decorative, it's
Yeah,
only yours if it's wood.
right. So, and that's the difference between either parish owned versus Entergy owned. So,
I just didn't know how far the maintenance went
right.
on those decoratives. Does that include installation?
Right. Well, for the decorative pole, for parish owned poles, is it a little bit different? Sure, feel free.
On the decorative poles, turn it in, report it to us. Entergy's responsibility, we supply the voltage to it. We'll go check the PE. The decorative ones, we don't house the PEs anymore. They changed that over years ago in the rates. And we'll change the bulb. If it comes on, then it's a repaired light. If it doesn't, then we'll check voltage. I'll either check the voltage. If there's no voltage present, they'll hand it over to my underground crew that has the maps. We'll come check the feed point. And at that point, we can tell if it's an underground circuit that the parish is responsible for, or if the fixture is bad itself. And then my admin lady or my OC will contact Paula, or sometimes we'll reach out straight to Ernest on the board and let him know you got a bad fixture, there's a fault in the ground, and then that's when the city takes over and does their part. But we all, I guess, like a first responder, give us the opportunity to change the bulb, pull our maintenance on it, and tell you where it's at. If we can isolate it, then that's less looking on your part. You know it's underground, then you fix your underground. If it's a fixture, they just go change the fixture, we refuse it, it comes back in.
Yes, sir. So I'm sure you're familiar with the Douglas Drive
Yes, sir.
project.
Very much. I
Did-
rode a lot of it after Ida on my off time at night and did a lot of patrols and have plenty paperwork left over, notes, 300 block, 500 block.
So
Yeah.
particularly the 300 block, I think there was like 5 or 6 in a line there.
Yeah.
But they're decorative.
That's all up the green fiberglass poles.
Yeah.
And it's considered a decorative fixture because it's fed from an underground source.
Okay. So there's 2 or 3 that came on, but there's still some that haven't. Could you maybe, for the public's sake, why? Because they like all in a line, or does it not work that way? It's not like it's
Well, and that older part of the neighborhood, it's off of a circuit. So if the fuse happens to blow, and we'll give it 240, which is 2 hot legs going down, 3 of the lights may be on one circuit, 2 of the lights might be on the other circuit. Well, if that fuse blows on that particular 3, those 3 will be out, and the other 2 will still stay energized. So if you're seeing that, let Paula know so she can let me know, and I'll just send my underground crew straight there. We'll check the voltage, check the fuses, and see if we can help identify it to minimize the time it's out.
Yeah, well, we talked about it in length, and like I said, a couple came on, but the people that live there say there's still like 3 or 4 that don't come on.
All right, if they can tell us which ones, we'll be glad to go
So it's
back
that
and
300, but,
we'll look at the underground a lot further and see what we can come up with.
So I did a lot of reporting personally. I just rode the neighborhood at night, stopping by the light, touching the app, filling it out. And I probably did 25, but it shows 15. Is that all at Terrebonne?
15 is the current backlog that we have for Terrebonne Parish.
Incomplete
As of-
that you showing right now?
As of this morning.
And that's based on the app?
That's based on all the work orders that are issued to Chad's team And so that's what I'm looking at. So every work order, so every light you report creates a work order. And that work order is sent over to Chad's team, and then he assigns it and distributes. So once that work order is complete, that's what I'm reported as completed, which means it has been repaired.
So
And the
what's the
15
transition from the app to a work order?
It, when
What's that
you,
time?
when you enter, when you select that pole and saying that that light fixture is out, that has what we call, a deloc or a locator number for that pole. That then triggers a work order number, and there's some steps in between that I'm kind of skipping, but it creates that work order number when you enter in the app. That's why we recommend the app, because the app gives us not only our, what we call locator number, but it gives you that GPS coordinate. So he knows, his guys know exactly which pole, which is easier than just saying, go to this cross street, right? Because it could be this cross street, but maybe 3 poles down. And so the app is useful because it gives them a specific location, so his guys can go to that specific location. But yeah, so from the app, it creates that work order, which then that's the work order that we kind of monitor. And so I have to say for, like Councilwoman Chauvin, what you did, right? Like, 400, 500 lights, right? Or so, I think we counted. Basically for that bulk of work, there is a process that we're working on right now for municipalities to be able to, report in bulk. I know it's not ideal, right, for you, and I don't think that the ideal situation is for you to be driving around every night, but today, if the light is not reported out by an individual, by the parish, or anybody in the parish, then we don't know about it. That's just how it works today, right? Like, we don't have the technology, we don't have a smart meter at each pole, like, so today, if the light's not reported out, then we just won't know about it. That's why we always stress, that if you do see it out, please go to the app and at least point it, because I will create a work order. Chad will get it, his guys go look at it, they repair it, they fix it, and we address the.
And that's all I'm saying. I did it like a month ago, probably,
I will,
and there was 20-something for sure
and we probably are diving into a little bit more details, but did you do it as a guest?
as a guess.
Okay. I will look
But I
at
did
that.
type my name in where it says your name.
You should be able to find it.
Yes, I can follow up on that and give you a status.
So
on the
I
ones
get a
you-
better reaction if I actually sign in?
Well, the reason why I say it, there's just a slightly different process for me to check on my end, not for you, but really on my
Okay.
end. That's why I asked the question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because on my end, the way that I have to verify the status, it might be a little bit different. So let me look at that, and we'll get you a status for yours.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And when you put it on the app and you hit that submit, it gives you that 11-digit number. After you hit that, it's almost like a live data. The ticket's auto-generated and it populates. If you create it and I happen to be by my computer talking to you on the phone, I should be able to see it pop up within an hour.
Yes, sir. Thank
So,
you.
I mean, it's constantly communicating back and forth through the systems.
I appreciate the information. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wazan. Mr. Pledger? Candace? She,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thanks. Yeah, thank you guys for coming out. I'm really big on lights, and I have a couple of questions, and maybe you can help me better understand it. When I built my home, I did the foot candle study and all that, but if I remember correct, the LED lights are gonna cost a little more, which I understand that, versus the HPS lights, correct? But over time, you'll have the cost saving there by having the LED lights, am I correct? Okay.
That's correct.
Now, what's gonna regulate you guys, or what decides if you put an LED light into service versus, or if you have an HPS light up already, when you go out, it's standard for you just to put the HPS back, or only on request you can put the LED lights back? Because the lifespan of the HPS is,
Much less.
I mean, yeah.
Much
So,
less.
so what decides, what's the determining factor for that?
I'll tell you today. So today, if an HPS light goes out and one of our guys goes out to repair it, he's going to replace it with another HPS light, unless we don't have that light fixture and the only thing that we have is an LED option, we'll change it to an LED to have a working light, but there is that cost difference, right? So now we have to change it from HPS to an LED light. But today, yes, if an HPS goes out, then we'll replace it with an HPS. But again, if that light fixture is not available for HPS, we'll put up an LED light. Yes, unless we get approval from like the parish to say, any light that goes out, right? I don't want you to replace it with HPS. I want you to replace it with LED. Then that's different.
Right. I understand totally. And I think that it's something for my colleagues to think about when we're doing this, because I'm all for it. If we put LEDs in, I understand they cost more at the, in the beginning, but over time, you're going to have a cost savings.
Yes, that is
And
correct.
it's going to look a lot better.
That is correct.
Gotcha.
The lighting is much better. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasure. Mr. Harding.
Yeah, I would like to give kudos to Ms. Rome also, and to hear Ms. Chauvin say it was about 500. Okay, and y'all down to 15 now.
We have actually repaired 900 and 996 total, but yes,
Yeah,
996 total.
I think that's good efforts, and kudos to Ms. Chauvin because I think y'all recognize a problem that she pointed out that y'all have. But the other factor that we have in here, I've run into certain situations whereas in reference to police cameras.
Okay.
And the fees to these police cameras that go on these poles and stuff like that. I think maybe we have some type of dialogue with our law enforcement officers who want to make sure that these cameras are actually working. So we need power to these poles. I also must commend your reporting system, how to create a work order, because me and Mr. Robert Lee have been talking about that along with the parish president. It seems like y'all have a very sufficient system. One more thing. Once that, like Mr. Wazan said, you said within an hour that work order is created, it pops up?
It'll pop up in the internal system.
And so your internal system gets it, creates a work order, and you have a certain amount of response time that you mentioned?
Right. So it's on average about 2 days.
On average, about 2 days. I just want to hold y'all to it. That's a,
No,
yeah,
it's a
thank
fair
you.
question.
Yeah, right.
Believe me, I asked all of these questions of him. So
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Ms. Chauvin.
I can tell you that it is the 2 days because I've caught Mr. Darrow on different areas. I already know when I did it, how I did it, and I've caught him in those areas. So I do commend you on all the things that you have, all the lights that you guys have put up. We appreciate it in the Chauvin area and even in the East Houma side, because we have a problem seeing our roads. There are no lines on many of our roads, which I'm going to be painting that pretty soon. But that is a big reason why I had to go and do the lights, because I had
Right.
a lot of elderly people in our neighborhoods that were having a problem being able to see those roads, and being lit up is crucial for crime, for people to drive on the road. So thank you. I do commend you for all that you've done.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Charles Clare.
Yeah, quick question, and maybe you answered, I missed it. Looking at the cost comparison between LEDs and HPSs, roughly, it's, say, $5 a month per fixture. And I understand the upfront costs for, inflated costs for LEDs. But is there a period of time that this actually reverts back to a lower rate, or it just continually be in the high rates?
So I will.
At some point in time, we offset the costs of the initial installation, and actually the maintenance and the usage fee should be considerably less on LEDs than on HPSs. So do we have a point in time that once we energize this LED light, that say 2 years from today that we energize it, we're gonna revert back to $3 a month instead of the $9 a month?
No, excellent point. And really the LED cost has come down. And I will tell you that we have already started conversations, and as part of a broader conversation with the LPSC in regards to rates, because the LED rates, we do expect them to come down, right? The technology has now been around for some time. So, yes, we would expect, we're hoping that the LPSC agrees with us, and then we can adjust the rates to what they need to be for LED lighting.
Okay,
It
because it
should be
just
less.
seems like if it's never ending, it's, how we get into a money grab.
Right, I mean, there's a fee for the, correct, for the maintenance, but yes, you're right. I mean, there's an installation fee, but then there's a fee for the maintenance on the light.
But at some point in time, the operating costs and the maintenance costs balance out and then starts going back into energy's favor and not ours on the monthly fees. You understanding what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trusclair. Mr. Pledger.
Steve just asked a question. I'm good. That's.
All right. Again, thank you guys for coming out. It's always a learning experience when you guys come out because there's so much confusion out there with 3 different utilities serving the parish. So a lot of that clarity means a lot. So
Thank you.
guess we'll see you again at some point. In the
absolutely.
meantime, to the general public, Energy does have an app out there. If you got a street light that's out in your front yard, go to that app, report it, and in about 2 days, you should see it lit again. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, item B, Councilman Carl Harding, discussion with possible action regarding the Bayou Country Sports Park, plans for capital outlay funding, and an anticipated date of completion. Mr. Harding.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to tell everybody out there, I see that more and more watching HTV and live streaming and stuff like that, so I want to apologize, but don't look at the messenger, just look at the message. I did make a phone call to Mr. Jim Wendell, and I'm going to have him come up in a little bit. But it's been a constant conversation that, you know what I mean, whatever area I go into in Terrebonne Parish has been a conversation about the complex. That even with some of my past colleagues and my present colleagues, they will make mention in small conversation in different areas other than putting everything on the table to find out, to give some information to the people. There's different sectors of people that don't really know what's going on with the Bayou Sports Park. So the first question was asked, I asked Mr. Jim Wendell, how much does it cost? What is the projected cost of it? What is the end of the road price of that? And so we can never get the answer to that. And I tried to do a little research, and see, in 2012, our budget book has been stating the relationship between our collaboration between Terrebonne Parish and Recreation 2-3. Since then, 2000 and 2014, and which I think that it's come out of the hands of 2-3, but then if someone reads our budget book, still think there's a pretty good relationship between Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government and Recreation 2-3. So in my opinion right now, that no longer exists. If somebody can tell me that I'm wrong, just do so. 2014, so I had a corporate endeavor with the Visitors Bureau. That created something with the hotel motel tax. That was we are under the pretense that hotel motel tax. We're actually trying to get this done, and how we collecting the money, and that's a 1% sales tax voted by the people. And so we have sales and sponsorship in 2023. That was the projection that we actually have for 2023 was $450,000. Okay, if you look back into the book, our budget book. Mr. Jim, could you come up now for me, please, sir? And I brought it out to Mr. Jim, and we've had some conversation, and I'm trying to make progress. I contact Mr. Wendell, and I'm not trying to put him under the gun. I'm not trying to go against the sports park, but then when people ask questions about when it's going to stop, how much it's going to cost, And I want to let the people out there know, out of our budget book on page 74, the parish president had an opportunity to provide funding also. And it has something on page 74 that says that, in that point, I know it's the previous administration that we actually have. On page 74, it says that enhance quality of life in parish president for the parish and the residents. Bayou Country Sports Park initial phase in 2022 is 40%. 2023 is 60%, and right now the projection for 2024 is 70%. And with that also being said, we got the hotel motel tax that we have of the 1%, and then we also have a parish-wide recreation tax that's also have an opportunity to provide services and revenue for the complex. Not only that, we have outside resources that would actually help to support that. And to understand the significance of a lot of people that are out throughout in other areas of the parish that don't fully understand that. And I'm gonna give you a story about even though we have recreation throughout all the places, I was about 12 years old and I was playing baseball over at Dumas, on the Dumas field before they put the tunnel extension through it and had to cut down on the size of the field that those folk over there when I was about 12 years old. And we were playing over there, but over on Leveron Street, over about a block over, we didn't have no dugouts. We didn't have a fence to cover over at Dumas. We didn't have the press box, and we didn't have the PA system to announce your name when you come up to bat. But on Leveron Street, they had it. And I was very, very naive right now, so I would assume that somehow or another that there are other members in the public, and I hear it like that, and I'm just to simplify that, how we can actually have separate but unequal. And then that's the format that I'm getting from people, that they're having separate, but that it's not equal. So when they look at this and don't have an understanding of what we're doing with this complex here, the end of the line is the fact that how much is it going to cost? And how many times are we going to actually put money in here, and where the money is coming from? How much does it cost? So, Mr. Jim, could you give us a little more what we talked about earlier today?
I don't have the total of how much it's gonna cost. I do have some capital outlay information. If you'd like to start off, I can. Okay.
All right. So understand that we were coming prepared for one thing and have some questions that changed, I think maybe today. I would like us to take these questions, gather information that you need. I know that there is a master plan, and over the last couple of years, we've been funding a lot of projects at the park through capital outlay money. Right now, we are working on projects of capital outlay money was given to us prior to. As of right now, especially with the shortage of capital outlay dollars at the state level, I'm not aware of any capital outlay dollars going into the park this year. And so I don't know if that addresses what you're trying to ask, but when it comes to full budget and everything else, I mean, I've got involved at the Sportsplex since 2017 because it was supposed to be done in 2015, trying to help get it to the point where it is today. But when you look at, of course, with inflation and everything else, the numbers we had last year probably aren't valid anymore. So to understand what it's going to take to complete, and a conversation around that master plan that's put out there with a double gym and kayak launches, and I mean, there's so many, phases that aren't being completed yet, and no idea of when it's going to be completed, with the fact that over the last few years, we've basically relied on capital outlay money to get it done. So I just want to make sure we do answer the questions that need to be answered. I know Jim brought with capital outlay projects that we're working on currently, if you want him to share with that, but some other stuff we have to get some more information on.
Yeah, and that's the point that we want to make, because I'm not being a devil advocate. I have the concerns about it. I want to know how much it's gonna cost. We made this agreement. It started out 2012. Now I'm in 2024. So with that being said, and whether the money comes from us somewhere else, it has to be. If we say we're gonna go and build a kayak launch, and energy just say, look, we make a report. Within 2 days, they're gonna tell you this, that, and the other. So, you know, constantly, we've been dragging this on about 12, for this many years. We want other people. If nobody else speaks, I'm speaking. You know what I mean? How much it's gonna cost? You need to figure out how much it's gonna cost.
Do you guys want to discuss the current money that we had in capital outlay?
Yeah.
I gave you guys a quick handout. If you look on page 4, at the bottom, this is the 2024, and I labeled it unofficial capital outlay projection, and that is what my understanding of where the money is and what the money is that's available. We had a budget that was not allotted, or not allocated for the Bayou Country Sports Park, $2,056,457. There's a parking lot project, and I'll discuss all these projects. That's what the 6 pages are ahead of that. A parking lot project, subtracted from it, an outdoor fitness grant match, which we had some items change on that we're gonna have to push that back to 2025. Tennis court engineering, to figure out a solution to our tennis complex that is off of St. Charles, that we lease that area. So that is subtracted from it as well. We have the lighting project that was discussed that is subtracted from it as well. And I put back the fitness grant monies that we weren't going to use from that allocation. So it came up and left us a balance of $393, which is now budgeted but not allocated since the others were filled in. So if we go to page 1, this is the Bayou Country Sports Park soccer expansion. And this was a 2023 project that rolled over into a little bit of 2024, but we are still addressing a few little minor instances with it that things aren't working right. So I felt that we should talk about that. That's 2 soccer fields, 3 sand volleyball courts, the 6 field light towers. There's a picture of all that work at the very top. I've listed the contractor, the bid date, the completion date, the construction cost, and this was funded with both state capital outlay and local dollars. It does say the soccer expansion is complete, but we do have some lingering issues with the irrigation pump, which has affected us being able to work the ground and also fertilize the ground, that we're not burning the grass with the fertilizer. So we've been going with Mother Nature's rain schedule since the malfunction of the irrigation system, and we do have the manufacturer coming out within the next month to take a look at it to get that resolved. This project also included a new asphalt roadway connecting the soccer expansion to the Bayou Country Sports Parkway, which is the bottom picture on that slide. Slide number 2 is a project that is currently underway. Have a construction picture at the top. This is probably about 3 or 4 weeks old, so there is more progress there. This is the baseball concession and common areas, which is across the street from the completed softball pod. They are creating a restroom facility with a concession stand. This includes the 10 canopy structures, the retaining walls that the nettings for each field hang on, and an artificial turfing system for the elevated viewing areas. In the master plan and when things were bid out for both parks, the softball and the baseball, they had pea gravel and stuff in the flower bed areas around the top, and the kids would throw that. It would get knocked out, and people were slipping on it. So we do have some, I guess, indoor-outdoor artificial turf type carpet that we put in those areas now and got rid of the aggregate because it was causing issues. The athletic equipment that is included in that work that is being completed are benches, bleachers, score tables, and a field expansion. When we were in when Rec 2-3 was involved, they changed the sizes of some fields when they were originally built. So we need to make some 225-foot fields, some 300-foot fields. So it's some minor moving of some irrigation and some fencing in order to make that happen. So if tournaments are held there, we have the correct size fields for each of the age groups in order to take advantage of the full field setup. I've listed the contracting group, the bid date, the completion date, which may go a month past that date because we do owe them some weather days if they need it because of the contracting terms. That was part of the contract. The construction costs that both came from some state capital outlay as well as some local dollars. And we are currently working on some change orders, which I believe back on page 4, I listed some additional things that may come back around to add money. I think this comes to the tune of around $40,000, give or take. It's deletion of the irrigation system on the green areas inside, around the sidewalks that they're doing. We've never used it on the first park because it malfunctioned. And when we add the shade structures and everything in there, we have issues with it. They're very fragile. When you cut the grass, it damages the sprinkler heads. If you have to get a vehicle in there to deliver food and stuff for the concession stand, it also creates issues. And adjusting the fence work. We've come up with a plan that we're talking to them about to make the expansion of the fences a little bit less intricate so that it costs a little bit less. So we should have some money coming back in from that. And on page 3, it gives some overhead views of some older pictures of it. This was what it looked like before. You can see the areas in the middle, and then the picture down towards the middle of the page is actually the building foundation formed up, and then you can see all the alleyways where the sidewalks and everything will go to. Page 4 goes into the parking lot, and this is a soccer parking lot. Aggregate surface parking lot, it adds 166 additional spaces for the fields that were just added, and it has 14 ADA spaces for handicap people who are visiting with the required ramps and concrete surfaces for that to be in compliance. This contract is to be determined. The bid date is spring of 2024. Completion date summer 2024. We have the costs that we spoke about previously, and this was state capital outlay and local dollars as well. I was told that we are awaiting authorization to advertise. TPCG Engineering is because they have to get approval from the state because of the state dollars and the state match on it. Item number 5. This is documentation that I was given left over as what was next for the sports park. This is what is needed for tournament play, for what it was designed for, which is bringing the people in, which is turfed infields. This is actually in design. We have had an engineer look at it. We were consulting with field vendors on design options and materials to be used to get the best bang for our buck. Again, the contract is to be determined, but it was on the list of the bid date being summer 2024. The estimated cost was about $1 million. I think the last time they spoke to a vendor to get some information on it, it had gone up to 1.4 was the projection. On the bottom of page 4, where they had some additions in there on trying to make something else into the budget that we had capital outlay already in place for. We did come up with some solutions to bridge the gap between the 1 million that was originally discussed and the 1.4, with the company maybe sponsoring a field on each pod to lower the cost, and also selling sponsorships on the other fields to lower the cost to kind of bridge that gap together. But the top is the actual baseball field, and you can see how some of the fields are smaller. The two graphics at the bottom show the smaller fields and the larger fields for the different age groups, and you can see how some of them are placed in there. They're not like the softball pods where they're more symmetrical and make a circle. Because of the size, they had to be pushed back and some tilted a little bit, which is giving us some issues with expanding 2 fields that we need to, because it goes a few feet into the lake's property or a few feet into property that isn't ours. So we have, in the last administration, the last couple of months of last year, maybe the first one of this year, we did reach out to the lakes and everything to see if they were willing to do a servitude or donate a small chunk of that property to make those needed adjustments to the field, because they weren't placed the right way when they were originally dug. But now we have the irrigation in there and all of the drainage that have been in there for probably the last 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years. So if we had to redo all that just to turn it a few feet to make it work. So we were looking at the possibility of a donation to save on money there with trying to redo all that work. On page 6, at the very top, there's been engineering and development on the sports lighting for additional soccer fields. If you look at the photo, it's the area that's circled in red to the south of it. You can see the ones on the north of it with the different poles. We did meet recently last week or the week before with the Soccer Association to try to talk about the cooperative endeavor agreement that we have with them to provide services, and just outline a little bit better what the parish is intended to provide, as well as what the Soccer Association is intended to provide. And one of the conversations from that meeting was adjusting some of the lights in this area that will be installed in that red circle area to light up additional areas, since the lights are so bright and they're capable of covering a big area. So we may be able to kill two birds with one stone there by lighting additional areas just by the way we place them. That's identified before we actually start the construction phase. TPCG identified $300,000 for this project and has now hired YKMH to design in a large field just to the southeast of the soccer concession stand. Then we have another 300,000 in the list on page 4 that we talked about, and it's engineering on the tennis courts and pickleball area for the sports park. As you guys know, we do rent a facility for our tennis complex to have our tennis. The thing that is busting at the seams now parish-wide is pickleball. The need or desire to play pickleball, and we are limited since the storm with tennis courts that are in good condition throughout the recreation districts, or even the one that the parish maintains on Williams Avenue. A lot of those areas were set up as FEMA camps. A lot of anchors were placed in the areas of the tennis courts. So we have some repairs to do, or a total relocation. So we're looking at that. This is the picture of the master plan, which if anybody needs a link to where the master plan is located online to get to, I can if you shoot me an email or a text, I'll give that to you. But that's the picture from the master plan of where the sports complex was supposed to house the tennis courts. Does anybody have any particular questions on that?
And again, I'm all for the progress, and I'm just trying to bring out a few points because people ask me questions. The other night we come up with insurance. We were talking about insurance, and we were talking about sanctioned sports. If you look at, and I did some research because people were asking me questions, and I want to explain, I want the people out there to know where the money comes, how it's used, and what it's supposed to be used for. And it has a parish-wide recreation fund. It states specifically what is the mission of the parish recreation fund. And it's rather, it's rather clear for recreation throughout Terrebonne Parish. And what some folk have come, and I can actually address the issue to look at it myself, to look at it and say, well, this is an opportunity where we can actually take that parish-wide recreation fund and actually use some of the money over there, right? Can we?
I guess in theory you could, but all of that is budgeted out. That budget item is from 280, which in your budget book is on page 178 to 186.
176.
178 to 186, sir. Now that covers the operations of youth sports, which is all programs. That is the T-shirts that are given out. That's the paint that paints the fields. That's the wax that waxes the gym floors for certain things. That is the insurance. Everything that we provide on page 179 for youth sports. That's the established youth sports that we have in the parish. On page 184, which is part of that same parish-wide recreation fund, is the agreement that we have with the Special Olympics and the things that we provide for that programming through cooperative endeavor agreement with those folks. On page 185, which is still included in that parish-wide rec funding, is the summer camps, which is another 185, page 185, which is the 245,000 that we have allocated for reimbursement of covered expenses for summer camps. We have TPR administration that fits under the parish-wide recreation fund, and I'm using old acronyms because some of it is still labeled what it is, but it's TPR administration on page 180 and 81, which explains that. And that's the TPR staff, the gym supervisors, and what is called groundsmen, which is some of our field supervisors and some of our supervisors that get the grounds ready for the games in certain districts where that isn't provided by the district. So that covers the 6 full-time employees of athletics or recreation, as well as 22 part-time people, being the gym supervisors and the field supervisors, who work a regular schedule or a monthly schedule to keep the gyms open for free play and things like that. That also covers our sports officials on page 182. And we currently have roughly 50 to 60 part-time sports officials. That's referees and umpires that handle the needs of our parish programs, and also another probably 20 to 30 scorekeepers and timekeepers, which maintain the order and the running of those particular programs there. Page 183 in that same thing under Parish Recreation Fund covers quality of life programs. And that's not the new quality of life that the current administration put in. This is some old stuff that has been in there that has been dubbed quality of life. And these are for specialty programs that we have that the Recreation Department may not necessarily do, but through cooperative endeavor agreement, they offer Zumba, fitness, dance classes, classes for the elderly, stuff at different recreation centers, and that's where the funding from that comes from. And then the final thing that is in that parish-wide recreation fund is the maintenance and upkeep of the leased tennis courts. So when we say take some of this money from 280, the parish recreation fund, it is possible. I mean, it's all budgeted there, but if we build tennis courts at Bayou Country or somewhere else, then I guess in turn we could take that money and roll it to maintain what we have built.
And that's my point, off somewhere else. It's the same way, if you look at page 121 in the same book, it's a non-district recreation fund, and it says money is in this fund are primary for from the general fund. Proceeds are used to provide playgrounds and other facilities which promote recreation and general health and well-being of the city youth. So, you know what I mean, just using words and just actually ask them to do it and just looked at it, you know what I
Right.
mean? And just to do the research and we talked. I'm not trying to put you in the mind. I'm not
And I
trying to-
understand it, and
Yeah.
no, I mean, this administration is big on transparency, and that's what it is.
Right.
That's a special revenue fund, 205, the non-district recreation. That is on page 144 in the budget book. And once again, those funds are already allocated and spoken for and approved in the budget. This includes non-district owned parish recreation, which there are a few things that we cover with those funds. Coteau Park, Presque Isle Park, the Municipal Auditorium, Dumas Auditorium, and the Air Base Splash Park. In that section there as well, in 205 on page 147, there's also a Parks and Grounds section, and that covers cutting 13 parish parks is what it says. Majority of those are in the city limits. I do have a list, but there is a list in that budget as well. That's Odemont Street Park, City Park, which is the entire air base, Coteau Park, Jim Bowie Park, Shady Oaks Park, which is behind the municipal. Yes, sir.
Is that the same fund that we actually had the increase went from what I think it was like very little amount of money. It's 50,000 now. Okay then, so that's coming out of that then.
So we have
Increased it.
13 parks, and we've had to increase it because of the cost of services. And that also covers operations at Air Base Splash Park, which is highlighted on page 148. Now that is the salary and the salary of 2 part-time groundsmen to operate, clean, and maintain only the Air Base Splash Park, which we're working on trying to get that position changed and include some different things to make it a better operation. But it also includes the water bill that we pay there, which is high during the summer months, the maintenance items, the pressure washing of it, all those different things there, the equipment that we buy to pressure wash, shovels, just general stuff to upkeep that actual thing.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I'm not going to ask some more questions because you know, next time somebody come up and they want to complain about this, that, and the other, and they get an opportunity to say something, they didn't say nothing, but then guess what? I brought it up here, they didn't come to say anything, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm serving the people, bringing it out there for them. I don't have a kid that play here. Never had a kid to play on any services. So therefore, you know what I mean. I'm actually looking behind the people money. They actually want to see what's going on and how it's being done. When we do our budget book, we don't have enough time to be in detail.
Right.
So look.
And
I'm
I'll
putting
send
it
this
out there.
invitation to you guys or anybody else that may be interested. I have links to the copy of the master plan for the airbase, the splash pad, the Bayou Country Sports Park. I can give that out. That's public knowledge that you can go and assess that. If you're interested in the budget, I can sit down and explain that. And just like you said, we have all these funds that are tagged recreation or, all these special reserve funds, but I can also explain in detail what the funding from those areas go to. And if I have any questions and if I don't have the answer for you, I'll be more than happy to get with Ms. Candace in finance or do the legwork in order to get those answers that the people need.
Yeah, and before we accepted the budget, we had a conversation. I have a better understanding, but I just want to just actually just put it out there. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Babin?
Yeah, I kind of forgot. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I think, just to cut to the chase, all right, I think this thing was intended never to have a completion. It's always intended to be fluid. We want to continue to add on to it. And as it fills the property that we have, if property can be bought along there, we want to continue to do it. I think the main emphasis that I'd like to know is, we always talked about bringing tournaments down here, all right? Be it girls softball, baseball, whatever. And I know it's gonna be very difficult to give us an exact time, because it seems like for lack of a better word, we've hopped around a little bit on this, and we didn't complete one, we didn't complete another, now we're working on this one. I'd like to have some kind of timeline when we think we as a parish can start trying to bring in these, and I know we've brought some in already, okay, but on a smaller scale. The larger ones that are gonna bring in the economic development to Terrebonne Parish, which in turn should help fund the expansion of this as we go along. But also, do we have plans to have someone in-house or hire someone that will specifically be working on bringing tournaments into Terrebonne Parish? Is that?
I'll be 100% transparent to the best of my knowledge with you, and it's kind of the good news, bad news thing. We have some beautiful property out there. We had the best intentions of let's put this here, this here, this here.
Right.
But as you said, we never really completed one thing yet.
And I'm not criticizing.
I'm not
working on
either.
this
I'm not
one.
either, but that's the reality of
Right.
it. We've had a few small regional tournaments. The recreation department, I actually held a Babe Ruth tournament out there one year, and we spent the majority of the weekend pulling tarps on the field, letting it rain,
Right.
pulling 600-pound tarps off the field. I don't think it's going to be the hub of sports activity and tournaments in the condition that it's in. And by that me saying that, there's a section in there on field turfing and some different things. That's where all of these major tournaments are going because these people invest so much into them, and you don't have to worry about the rain. You can play in the rain, or as soon as it's done raining, you don't have to worry about mud holes. You don't have to worry about anything. I got some pictures sent over the weekend. In the morning when the dew's done, the kids are in cleats kicking the grass, and it chews up the grass, and it makes a little mud thing, and it looks bad. But I don't think we're going to get, and I understand what you're saying, the large scale things. We've brought basketball tournaments to the parish. Once again, they're smaller because we don't have the size facility that's needed. We've done the last 2 years, we've gotten a out-of-town volleyball tournament to come into the Civic Center because that was the only facility that could hold it. Now, when this boys' baseball area is done, probably in the next month or two, we're going to have 10 beautiful fields, but we're still dependent on the weather. So without the improvement of turfing them, which is the 1 million or 1.4, on the bottom of page 4 that we went back and forth with, I don't think that the promoters feel it's reliable enough to come. And if it rains for 20 minutes, you may be good, but if it rains for 30 minutes, your whole weekend is shot. So I think we are getting together actually this week with administration and discussing some job duties out there and who does what and what's been working well, what needs improvement. And in the next couple of weeks after that, I'm not sure how many weeks, probably 2 or 3 weeks after that, we do have a meeting set up with administration to talk about, and it's labeled on my calendar as profitability, but exactly, what are we doing, looking at our expenses, at our revenues, and trying to iron out some things that may have not been done correctly before. And again, not passing blame, not
No,
doing
no.
any judgment, but we're just trying to get a game plan together to move forward.
And that's not my intention to criticize from where we are.
Right.
I happen to have been involved in this since 2012 when it got going with Rec 23 and the hotel motel tax and everything else. All I'm saying is I would like to see when y'all are having these conversations, and you probably will, to concentrate, if it's girls softball, that brings in, as my memory serves me, girls softball brings in more people per player than any other sport. It's like 5.3 people per player. So that's the economic development end of it. But if girls softball is something that we think we can concentrate on, then I think we need to concentrate our dollars, our valuable dollars, to complete one, and then we move. And the turfing is something that we should have done. We did not. Now we need to just address that so we can get it. So yeah, I think you see where we're going. I think it's the same thing Mr. Harding was talking about. It's just people want to know what direction we're going. Maybe not a completion date for the entire park, okay? But maybe some kind of completion date to where we can start bringing in these tournaments and letting our hotels and our restaurants and our facilities here bring in a few dollars.
Yes, sir.
To bring in those tax dollars, which in turn go directly to it.
And I have some notes from Mr. Harding earlier,
Okay.
and I'll take some notes from tonight. We'll make sure that those are addressed in the
Yeah,
discussions that we have.
I would rather do one of them complete than
Right.
3 or 4 of them, and we still in the same shape.
Right.
We're still having the community ask us, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? Okay, so again, continue the good work. We want to fund this. This is we've spent. There's a lot of not we, but there's a lot of dollars that has gone into this. And I think it can be a first-class facility down the line. And I'll bring this up like I do every time we talk about the sports park. We are being compared to other places that have millages and they're all encumbered with debt. This one is not, okay? Does it take longer to do it that way? Yes, it does. You either save up the money to do it or you bond it out. And I don't think we're looking at trying to bond anything out right now in this economy, so.
Thank you, Mr. Babin, and thank you for the feedback.
Thank you, Mr. Babbitt. Mr. Pleasure.
2 parts. Well, thanks for coming out. But 2 parts to my question here. One is I don't see any scoreboards or anything like that. So I guess that's something we're going to have to work on, getting the scoreboards. But I know that if we reach out to Coca-Cola, Gatorade, places like that, they kind of, they partner with just to. I'm sure you know about that. So that'll be a savings.
And we have an agreement from the softball side. We just have to sign that they're the exclusive beverage.
Correct.
And roll with that, yes, sir.
Correct, okay. Now, second part to that, we spend a lot of money doing it, I get it. We gotta get it to a point where, it can start generating some revenue for us. Is it possible, is it feasible for us to potentially, the school board, our athletics department within the school board, they can use these fields all the time. And that'll encourage tournaments to come in through the school board and the schools. Is there any way we can partner with the school board in some capacity to, we're part of the parish? It's just a question.
I don't
that's all.
have a number, but there are a lot of recreation facilities that are used by the school board. They're using our gyms for basketball, for color guard. They're using the fields on Martin Luther King. Has been Terrebonne High softball field since the inception because they don't have one. But we do have a lot of schools since Ida. I know Ellender, it's either Ellender or Oak Lawn is using Lafayette Woods. But we have several teams that do use Bayou Country, which is another, I don't want to say issue that we have within the athletics section, is us expanding some of our sports seasons because now we have 3 different groups vying for gym time, vying for field time, which is the parish athletics. Then we have the school ball, and then we have the travel ball organization. So in order to work better with everyone, and everyone have successful seasons and have the opportunity to use those facilities, we've stretched out some of our programming where we don't need every field at every venue every day of the week, and some of those dates can be filled in by school and by other travel ball.
Okay.
So yes, it's definitely a discussion that we're having, but we really need to sit down with the school board and discuss some things a little bit better, but it's all about partnerships, and it's, the more partnerships we can make, the better we're gonna be.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasure. Ms. Chauvin.
You brought up the school board, and it's been a point of contention for me within my own district that the school is using our facilities and not paying for them, although when TPR, the back part of it, would come back in and use the school board, the school gyms and stuff, they would have to pay for it. So my question is going to be to you. We're talking about making some kind of agreement with the school board or the districts, what have you. I think it's well past time because in my district, we're always looking for money for our recreation, yet we're kind of being used, is the feeling that I'm getting on that part of it because they didn't know that they should be charging for the use of it, but we charge other people for events and different things for in our district. So at the Bayou Sports Complex, you're saying that the school board, the school teams do use that. Do they pay to use that?
I'm really not sure. I can check on that and get back to you, though.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Harding.
Finally, and that's basically the point, is also, is the fact that we have so many ways that we say we collect money. And we have very specific things that say this goes to the country sportsplex. And we have other recreation districts, and we're collecting ad valorums, and we're collecting millage taxes. So, you know what I mean, some people think that's a form of double taxation. You're paying money on recreation, for the recreation through the parish-wide tax, hotel, motel tax. Then you have these recreation districts that are actually getting the millage off that too. So when the parish say they own everything, ultimately we can actually say, and we up here, we have our egos up here so we can take a person off the board and off, on and off the board. So what father is going to have a house and have a child that lives in another house and let that child house go down? So we're looking at the Bayou Sports Park, Country Sports Park. We being vibrant and we putting money and efforts towards that when they got so many outlying areas that need Terrebonne Parish assistance. And we're allowing it to put all our eggs in one basket while these other recreation districts and these communities have dilapidated, underfunded areas that they need taken care of also. If there's gonna be one Terrebonne, we have to look at the big picture. So, yeah, we've been at it for a number of years. I'm for it. I remember going to the Cajun Classic for a number of years, being in the elite softball tournaments. They played all over Lafayette until they got to that one field toward the end. So the bottom line is, you know what I mean, how many tournaments we'd have had here, how much money we'd have brought in, is it worth the effort that we're going to go down? And I can understand Mr. Babin's intent, and it's optimistic, saying that, hey, look, if we keep on building, we're going to have it coming to us. But don't take so long to do it where we're behind the times. If we're taking too long to get to the end of the road, well, then you're going to have to start doing repairs on things that we have. And those other areas, they're going much faster than what we are. So we have to get this done somewhere down the line and start to bring the revenue in.
Thank you for the feedback, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Seeing no more lights, we'll move on to item 7A. Vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. Recreation District Number 3, Board 1 vacancy. Coteau Fire Protection District, Board 1 expired term. Planning and Zoning Commission, 1 expired term. Applicant must reside in the city of Houma. Municipal Civil Service Board, 1 expired term, representing the council. Terrebonne Parish Tree Board, 1 expired term. Item 8, announcements. Mr. Parish President, you have any announcements, sir?
I know it's been a long night, but we got some things we're trying to do to continue to move the parish forward, so.
Take your time, I'm just getting my second win.
I'm excited to share the status that we are at with rebranding. It's as I talked about in my campaign about doing things differently and change. How we were viewed as a parish was one of the things that I definitely wanted to address. Between myself, Robbie, and Ryan, we're probably looking at about 50 years of branding, marketing, and experience with making sure that organizations are represented properly when it comes to what their brand looks like. And so, it's something that we're not getting rid of the seal. We feel like the seal should be kept special for special occasions. Whenever we put things in people's names and do things to honor those and things on a real official business perspective. When you look at parishes of comparative size and comparative just population, revenue, everything else, we're behind the 8 ball, and this has been done throughout the state. And so I'm excited to share something that our communications department, our new communications / marketing / IT group has put together. And because this is done using internal talent and people that are working for the parish currently. We did it all in-house, and I really think they knocked it out the park. And so with that being said, I'd like to present the new brand for Terrebonne Parish. Now, to go to the level that we've actually created our own font. This is a Terrebonne Parish font. You can see that, we're keeping, some of the stuff from the logo or from the seal that was, the blue that represents the water, the green that represents the land, all coming together to form the good earth. But to have that nice, new, fresh looking feel for everybody to get excited about and to offer positive direction in moving the parish forward. Like I talked about, you can see the different fonts, the colors, and all stuff that we put together with different ways to present the logo. And as we move through, one of the things I'm really excited about are the business cards. That when you look and see that you put 4 business cards together, it forms that parish outline and shows us all kind of coming together. And I think when you look at brand and you look at what brands represent and what you can do with a brand, that's what we're looking at doing. We're coming together and moving forward at the same time. And everything, from ID cards, mugs, I love it painted on the wall. I just think it looks beautiful. And then leading into that next phase, which is redesigning our website. We're probably looking at about a 6-month process to get this done. This website is hard to use. It's outdated. Stuff like that even affects being found by search engines. And when you don't have a responsive website that works on any device that's out there, when you're looking at 55 to 60% of all internet traffic is done from a mobile device. People that have mobile devices are having trouble using our website and finding our website and finding everything that we do. So really concentrating on the major topics that people search on and look at on a regular basis. You can see as we expand the site out. The other part that I love about the brand and what we've done to date is that we have multiple Facebook pages and websites, and it's not really one central place that everybody can gather or can look for data. It's this has this and this has that, and just when you do a search for Terrebonne Parish, you're going to find 5 or 6 different ways to look up data for the parish. And when you look at 4 or 5 different ways, the inefficiencies of making sure that you have the same message, that we are a united front. The fact that us and the council on the homepage, as you can see, showing that we are one Terrebonne, as we discussed earlier, looking at the latest information, whether it's population and stats, parish news, frequented departments, discovering the beauty of Bayou is something that residents can submit photos, and once approved, have residential photos listed on the website. Activities and events. Everybody always wants to know what's going on in Terrebonne Parish, and there's this map, and this calendar and that calendar. We're looking to have everybody come to one place and view, what we're trying to do as one parish moving forward. And we're really excited about this, and we're announcing it tonight to make so we can take our next steps to start moving. And something that's simple to me, it's about the little things. And when you can look at the council, it actually has the area that you cover highlighted on the map behind your picture. So if people aren't sure what area does who so-and-so cover, It's right there on the website. And so, again, I really want to commend Robbie and his team, and I'll offer a few minutes for Robbie to comment. But I mean, look, just all done in-house. Again, we're taking our hardworking parish employees and taking their skills and experience and allowing us to work together as one Terrebonne to move that one Terrebonne forward. So, Robbie, you want to add anything?
I mean, if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. In total, time-wise, I already looked this up. Between myself and Megan, it only took us about 40 hours to do everything. So not just the logo you see here, but I mean everything that encompasses that we're gonna have to have redesigned. So it only came out to about, between my time and Megan's time, which is our in-house graphic designer, about $1,500. So I think that's, if I went out today and I did a quote for that, like let's say I was still working for myself, I would bid quite literally well upwards of $15,000 to do what we've done in-house for $1,500. I think even Ryan would mimic that. He has just as much time in the industry as I do. So I think we saved a lot of money doing it in-house, and we're doing some cool things.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council members. Ms. Chauvin.
So I'd like to read off this. It's attention community members of District 8. Get ready to make a difference at the Chauvin Bayou Trash Bash and the East Houma Trash to Treasure cleanup events. Gather your team and join us in beautifying our community together. Whether you're part of a group, a local business, or simply want to give back, your participation is invaluable. At the Chauvin Bayou Trash Bash, the meetup is at the Little Caillou Fire Station at 5016 Highway 56. On the East Houma Trash to Treasure cleanup, the meetup is at the Houma Air Base at 201 Moffett Road. If you're looking for more details, head on over to Councilwoman Kim Chauvin's Facebook page, and it'll be pinned at the top. Just click the link and get started. Plus, we're challenging South Terrebonne, Ellender, Houma homeschoolers, LaCache, and Oaklawn for their teams, clubs, and organizations to compete for cash prizes to benefit their respective groups. So let's roll up our sleeves and make our community cleaner and greener together. And after, get on over to the Relay for Life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Babin.
Yeah, I'd like to, along those same lines, Ms. Chauvin, this past weekend in Grand Kai, Dulac area, Ms. Janie Voisin, and she's done this for the last at least 3 years, has organized the Bayou cleanup in Grand Kai and Dulac. She had over 70 volunteers this year. I do not have the total on the tonnage yet from Mr. Clay Knockan, but they did a fabulous job. But like the one that's going to come up in the Chauvin area, we can clean up today, and tomorrow people are throwing trash again. I don't know how to solve that problem. If anybody in this room knows how to solve that problem, please let's work on that. We need to instill in our people, if this is the good earth, it's a beautiful place to live. We can keep cleaning it, but if you keep dirting it, we don't have enough money to get out of that. But again, I want to commend Miss Janie Voisin and all of the over 70 people who turned out in Dulac last weekend to really clean up Dulac. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Item 9.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Hamner, seconded by Mr. Babin. Somebody out there? All right, members, vote your machines. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.